Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FPL BlackBox ahead of Gameweek 5 with myself, and Mr. Grumpy Mark Southerns. How are you, Mark?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm a bit grumpy. Yeah, I obviously everyone will say it's because you had a bad game week, and that has something to do with it. But yeah, I'm a bit grumpy about FPL. I'm a bit worried the way it's going so far.
Oh no!
Yeah,
And
more
late
on that
because you were doing this so rare team. So
yeah, well that matters. I'm enjoying playing that, but they're still not paying me, so I can't tip that. So it's fine.
Are you enjoying so rare more than you're enjoying FPL this season?
I mean, there's a lot to so rare, put it that way, and the scoring system's a lot more involved, and it's a bit more hardcore. And I'm in a good group with a lot of FPL managers. It's good fun. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I won't plug that anymore. It's all fine.
No, that's fine. No, we got plenty of things to plug this episode anyway. I'm in control today of StreamYard. Last time we did this, everything was very, very fuzzy. If everything's fuzzy again, there isn't really much we can do because everything is set up correctly. So let us know if everything's fuzzy, but at the same time, don't go on about it because we're not going to fix it. Hopefully,
I'm a bit fuzzy. I do need a shave, but
you do actually. Yeah. Well, funny you should talk about.
Yeah, I know. That's an interesting segue.
That's an unbelievably good segue. Our sponsor for this week's FPL BlackBox. That wasn't even planned, was it? That was
no, it was beautifully done, though, wasn't it? We're professionals. What can you say? We are
professionals. Yeah. Our sponsor for this episode is, of course, Manscaped. We've got a funky video playing on the screen. They are the best in male grooming. If you're not familiar with them, they've got some unbelievable offers on some of their products at the moment, including the Performance Package version 5, which, and I have in the script, I have to say, will keep your balls smooth because we love.
Is that the script or is that you?
That is a bit of both. It can be a bit of both. It's fine. Okay. Hello, manscaped.com. Join 10 million men worldwide who are using Manscaped already. 10 million men, Mark, shaving their balls.
10 million men. Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining 10 million men shaving their balls right now.
Oh, that's an image that no one wants burnt into their retinas. Use the code BlackBox for 20% off and free shipping. You get, so in the performance package, you get the Lawnmower Ultra, which is your main tool for shaving your balls, basically. The Weed Whacker for your nose and ear hair. The Crop Soother and Crop Preserver, which is like a deodorant and a kind of moisturizer for your plums as well. And they're also giving away some free boxes, a free toiletry bag as well. Free shipping. Use the code BlackBox, manscaped.com. Beautiful.
Perfect. So, excuse us for the fuzziness that are on screen then, but we'll move on to FPL now.
No one's saying anything about the fuzziness.
So, yeah,
I think it's fun. Let's talk about Game Week 4 then. Let's start with you, because I'm sure you're desperate to talk about.
I can't see it as. Sorry, that's far too fuzzy. I can't make it out.
Could you panic me then for a second? 32 points. Oh dear.
I'll read through it. Raya 9 points. Thank God for Raya. Trent 1, Conter 1, Lewis 1, Robinson 2.
1, 2.
Yeah, I know. It's Weghorst all over again. Saka 7, Rogers 2. Eze 2 is my transfer in for Smith Rowe, who obviously did better than Eze. Salah with the fail, the captaincy on 4, Son 2, Isak 1, off at half time, of course. So a lot of teams were propped up by Haaland. I don't have Haaland, so I couldn't be propped up by that. Salah blanked for the first time this season. So what you're going to get when Haaland returns and Salah blanks and you haven't got Haaland, you're going to get a bad game week. Luckily, Saka and Raya came in for me. Yeah, I know. I mean, and there were a lot of teams who had like the 26 points from Haaland and then blanks everywhere else, wasn't there? There were some crazy looking teams this week in that respect. And yeah, why did so many players blank? It was just a very, very odd game week in that respect. And obviously Haaland papered over the cracks for a lot of managers. I watched the Forest Liverpool game live. Don't ask me how, because I wasn't there. I did turn down a ticket to go as well. This is terrible. What would you do in my shoes here? So I had a friend who I met at Forest text me on Friday night, and he said, if I can get you a ticket, do you want one? And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to Brighton this week, and I'm going to Fulham the week after. I can't really go into Pip and say, what do you think? Can I go to Liverpool and then go next week to the Brighton game and then the week after to Fulham? I thought, she's not going to let me go to 3 games. And I thought to myself, what's the chances of us getting something at Liverpool? It'd be nice to go up there and that. But I thought no. So I DM'd him back and said, thanks for the offer, but I better not. I better do family stuff. Better not push my luck. What happens? The best away day in the history of Nottingham Forest. I mean, like, there were people on the Forest Focus pod that I do share with saying, yeah, the best away day in memory. And I'm like, oh my God. So what would you do? Would you go into Pip and go, look at that, look at the sacrifice I made. I could have gone, but I didn't even ask you because that's the kind of guy I am. Or should I just forget it and leave it? Or should I bring it up in an argument in a few years' time? What do you
Mark,
reckon?
I know you, and I know how much Pip puts up with you. I would strongly advise you do.
Well, that's not the answer I wanted.
That is.
I thought I deserved credit for that, but I'm getting no credit, and I've missed the best away day in Forest history.
The thing is, imagine if you'd taken it and gone all the way up there, and then you got thrashed 3-0.
Yeah, but that was the more likely.
It was a pretty big gamble.
It was, and as big as going without Haaland and captaining Salah in the first place. Anyway, yes. So luckily, I got through the weekend buoyed by the victory at Anfield, and then it started to sink in as the hours passed. That obviously had a miserable game week, but there were teams worse off than mine, and I've just got to take it. But now, I mean, what I'm more down about is the way it's going. In the we've got Palmer who struggled. We've got Saka who's now got Odegaard missing for probably a long time based on what we heard tonight. That doesn't sound great. So we've got to assess, is Saka going to be the Saka of last season now with Odegaard missing for a long period of time? Probably not. We're still going to get him for the 2 home games. But after that, how long, what's the impact of the Odegaard injury on Saka? Watkins has done okay. Showed up last week, so he could be an option. But Palmer, Saka, Son, I don't see them justifying their price at the moment. And I fear, I thought Saka would, but I wonder now. So I'm fear that what we're ending up with, even though we started the season going, oh, there's so much choice, there's dilemmas, and everyone's got different teams. I fear we're going to end up with Salah and Haaland in all our teams, 2 Arsenal defenders and a load of 4-5s. I do worry. Yeah. Do you not think that's the way it's going to go?
I'm not as worried as about that, because I think we're seeing in game week 6 we're going to see people getting rid of Salah. And
for the Saka home games,
And so, what you think that in game week 8 people are going to go back to Salah again? I don't think so. I don't know. And I think if you've got 2 Arsenal defenders and Trent and Haaland, you're going to find it a bit different, because we're looking at players like Mbeumo.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah,
as well. I don't know. I think it's. I think we are. I think game week 6 is going to be interesting, because I think we're going to see people move towards a lot of the same teams. I think everyone's team is going to be very similar in game week 6 and game week 7.
Yeah,
there's going to be a few people that, because I can't have Saka and Salah, for example, for game week 6. I don't think many can. So
you can't. You wildcard to that. You can probably wildcard to it.
What, to Haaland, Saka, Salah, and Trent, and. Well, you can't have 2 Arsenal defenders as well.
No, you can't have 2 Arsenal defenders as well. No, so you'd have to have, but you can wildcard to Saka, Salah, Trent, and Haaland. I've tried it. I've looked. You can.
I don't think I'm going to be going with Salah from game week. No. I'm going to wildcard in either 6 or 7, and I'd be surprised if my team ended up with Salah in it. So,
no, it won't then. But I think what will happen is we'll get Saka in for the 2 home games, and then we'll start to see that Arsenal perhaps are much more defensive team rather than a forward-thinking team without Odegaard, and we'll start to think, maybe we don't need Saka. Maybe we go Havertz up top, and that covers Arsenal. I just fear that the options that we were really giddy about. This looks amazing. Haaland's 15 million, so not everyone's going to get him. Well, that's going to go pear-shaped. And we've got other options like Palmer and Saka and Son and Watkins, and you can't have them all. But I think already I feel like the pool is narrowing a bit. What we need is Palmer to start pulling his finger out, right? That will cure it. But I don't know. I watched Chelsea and I think I don't see it happening. Do you see it happening yet? I mean,
on the big screen is the fixtures, so the long term view. So let's assume, game week 6 is going to be split. A lot of people won't want to sell Salah for Wolves away, but some people might have to build the team they want. I think
that might help.
Yeah. And then Liverpool have Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Aston Villa. Then it's Southampton in 12, but then it's straight into Man City and then Newcastle away. I don't think people are going to be moving back to Salah for that run.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, because this is the other thing that's going to be dull, is if people don't move back to Salah because they just go, well, I'm only going to captain Haaland now. And that's how close are we to that? I mean, after 4 weeks, we're going to look at Haaland start. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. After 4 weeks, how close are we to perma-captain Haaland, do you think? I mean, we're not going to get it this week because he's at Arsenal. But then I reckon even Newcastle away, I think we're going to get people going, yeah, I'd rather captain Haaland than captain Saka at home. So I think even then we're going to get question marks over do you not captain Haaland even when Saka's got plum fixtures. So
I mean, Man City's fixtures from 6 and Newcastle, Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Brighton, Tottenham. You're going to captain him in all of those, I imagine, unless you go for the Saka option at Leicester and Southampton. But then you're not. And then it's Liverpool away in 13, but that's Salah and Haaland playing each other.
I know.
Arsenal have got West Ham away. I mean, Spurs have got Fulham at home that week. So a Son or a Solanke, possibly.
Son, really? I mean, I don't know. Son out wide to me. I mean, I own him, and from what I've seen, he obviously got me a couple of goals in game week 2, but I don't really see him justifying that price tag at the moment. We'll see. He might surprise us at home to Brentford playing out wide, but we know out wide he's not as effective as an asset. I just think that already I feel because Haaland's just been ridiculous, incredible, right? And we all thought 15 million was a price tag to make people think, well, it probably isn't anymore, is it? It's not. I mean, like he's 15.3 now, and no one's going to blink at that. So that's a shame straight away because obviously he's going to become the dominant heavy hitter and he's going to become the perma captain. And so those two things straight away are going to start narrowing the difference between teams. And then, it'll be whether or not you feel like having Salah, can you justify it if you don't captain him? Or do you go Saka? But I worry about the Odegaard impact on Saka. What we need, is Palmer and Son to kind of show that they can be justified at 10 million. And we need Foden back to kind of at least present some alternative to Haaland. We haven't got that. So it's not been, I mean, FPL did all they could with the pricing. Don't get me wrong. I think they did well with that. But unfortunately, the way the season has started, it hasn't lent itself to everyone having different teams yet. I think it's kind of pushing people towards, well, you've got to have Haaland. You might as well captain him every week. There's question marks over having Salah if you don't captain him. Question marks over Saka. Palmer's not ready. Son's not good enough. Foden's not in the team. That suddenly the pool is contracting. It's like, oh, that's not what I expected. Not what I wanted. It's annoying me a little bit.
It's kind of the other way around to what we were expecting because we thought maybe with Palmer and Saka competing with each other, it would give you the option. But actually, they're not competing with Haaland and Salah at the moment. So why would you go there? What we actually need at the moment is for Palmer and Saka to be competing with like Luis Diaz and those types of players because they're the ones where we're kind of moving around. Salah and Haaland aren't at the moment going anywhere. Foden's the big one, I think. If Foden can come back and start hitting anywhere near the form he showed last season, I think that's when people might.
Yeah, but he's not in the starting lineup tonight again, is he? I thought he might be saved for Europe, but no. I mean, the other thing is, we need Haaland to stop scoring loads of goals, but that's
we don't.
It's not going to happen. So, yeah.
Well,
anyway,
here's my team. I'm a lot less grumpy than you are. I had a okay week. 59 points for me. Henderson in goal. Porro, Robinson, and Trent. I mean, that was a disaster. Robinson conceding to a 95th minute Danny Ings equaliser is
it's just peak, painful,
isn't it? Yeah. Absolute peak FPL. I bought in Salah and Pedro. Pedro didn't play. Salah blanked. I got Smith Rowe off the bench though, and I tell you what, I was worried going into Sunday because I sold Isak and Saka. And when Saka got that assist and I still had Isak left, I thought I could be on the back of about a 20, 25 point swing here. But actually, with Smith Rowe coming off my bench, I was 1 point up on that move. So,
were you 1 point up? Were you? Oh, I thought you were still down on it. Okay, right.
No, still.
Because Isak only got the 1 point, didn't he?
Yeah. Isak with the one, Saka with 7, Smith Rowe matched him, and then Salah with 2.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's
literally 1 point.
crazy, isn't it? Look at your team, right? I mean, obviously you got Mateta, but you only got 2 players return, Mateta and Smith Rowe. And Smith Rowe was on your bench. So it's like so many teams just had either Haaland and 1 return, or that's about it. It was Mateta, I mean, obviously was a big differential for you. So well done. But
yeah,
took
I mean,
the pen over Eze as well.
Lucky that happened, because penalty in the 90th minute, I just would have assumed Eze would have taken it, and Eze was the player I was really fearing this week. So yeah, very, very lucky with that. I'm really disappointed in Rodgers, Gordon, and Jota all blanking. I mean, what do you make of Rodgers?
Oh, it's crazy, and he played well last night as well. And people are saying, like, is he going to go on this ridiculous run of looking like the best player on the pitch in every game and not getting any returns? And it is crazy. I mean, it's got to happen soon, isn't it? And they've still got good fixtures left, so you've got to hope that it's going to drop for him soon. But then, I mean, the Duran thing is all very weird. I just don't know what they do. I mean, again, Watkins subbed on 60 minutes last night.
Yeah,
little bit
ice
of an
pack on his
knock.
leg. Yeah,
I think he's all right. I mean, he'll start the weekend. But what does Emery do with Duran? Because Duran's like a immovable object at the moment. You've got to give him minutes, haven't you? And we're not just talking 5 and 10. You've got to give him a decent 20, 25. So I don't know. Does Watkins come off every game and that's the only way? Or can he get Morgan Rogers out wide and Duran in with Watkins? Does that even work? I don't know.
I don't know, because Rogers is playing well, Ramsey's playing well, Duran's playing well, Watkins isn't going anywhere. It's very tricky to know what. I mean, I assumed Duran would start yesterday, and you know, against young boys. I know it was their first Champions League game in kind of forever, but I thought, why not stick him in? I was quite surprised to see Rogers play. He got the 90 again, didn't he, last night, Rogers, as well? I don't think he came off.
Did. Yeah, crazy. I didn't expect him to play. I thought Duran would start, Rogers wouldn't start. But he just seems to, I mean, quite right, he loves Rogers. He's playing superbly, but he's just not returning for us. And I just don't know. I mean, they've got the Carabao Cup tie, so we've got to think that Duran will start that. So maybe that means that he doesn't have a big impact on Watkins' minutes at the weekend. But you can't bank on it. That's it. I said that Watkins is back and Watkins is an option, but if he's only ever played an hour so far in every game. So, like, are we going to invest in a player that's only getting an hour? Because, you know, we've said before, you want your striker on for stoppage time because we know the XG goes up around that period. So that's not great either, is it? So it's like, I don't know, apart from Haaland, and obviously we'll see Salah's had his best start to the season for a long time as well. The other kind of second tier assets, just, I don't know, they need to do more. They need to do more to make the season what we thought it would be.
Yeah, and I mean, even Jota, for example. I mean, Jota was my kind of way about going against Salah, and that just obviously hasn't. And I'm really worried about his potential to start, because I thought Gakpo played quite well. Yesterday, and Diaz is getting 60, 70 minutes in the league almost every week as well. That's not really being talked about, but he's not playing anywhere near 90. You see the comments as well from Slot saying he was going to play Gakpo as well, but he was tired or something from his minutes. Poor Diaz flying around the world.
I know, and Jota, I don't know. You talked about it last week, didn't you? Is he in the Firmino role? And like, did you see? I don't know whether you saw. Jota hardly got the touch of the ball against Forest.
Yeah,
like, we shut him down completely, and they just couldn't get the ball anywhere near him. And apart from the one chance, he did have their best chance, but he was so quiet. Like, he was just not a factor at all. And so the system that Slot is playing, although it has got the best out of Diaz and we've seen him step up, I've never seen Jota have less impact than I'm seeing. He's not playing a part in the build-up really, and they're not getting supply to him. So that is a worry, because how long is it before Gakpo becomes a factor in the middle, down the middle, or even, dare I say it, Darwin Núñez? I don't think Darwin Núñez is going to...
I think Darwin isn't a worry.
Gone. He's gone, isn't he? He's gone.
Yeah. But
that's one good thing to come from this season so far, because we don't want any of that.
If Darwin had come off the bench and started making a bit of a case for himself, I think there would be people going there. But luckily it's not us. Great, and the good on the screen, lots of red arrows this week. As you can see, Praz and Harry both leading the way, both on a red. I'm on a green. I'm one of 4 managers in the great and the good on a green. I said I'd be happy with staying about where I was, which was about 900k. Got a green up to 636k. So I'm approaching my best rank in the last 2 seasons, which was about 400,000 last year.
It's got to be one of your best starts for a while, isn't it?
I think it probably is. I think it probably is my best start for a while. So hopefully can build on that. Not so good for you. We were neck and neck, and now there's a 30-point difference between us.
I'm trying to remember the last time we did a black box.
23 points.
When was the last time we did a black box where you were beating me?
The last episode of the end of the season, I won by 1 point.
I think I was beating you every week last season.
Yeah,
wasn't I?
yeah. There was no. I was beating you at 1 point because that's when you benched the Superman.
Right, that was game week 2. That was game week 2. That was the match of the day challenge. So you're beating me by 20 points. That's the biggest evidence that FPL is broken, of course, right? Regardless of everything else I've said. The fact you're beating me by 20 points, FPL is broken. It's gone. Game's gone. So far, late rise are exactly the same points. 248. I know, and exactly, I mean, their teams are similar, and they've got Haaland. I mean, look at the start they've had, and they've got Haaland. So, and I think they had Haaland from the start, didn't they? So, Haaland's not the silver bullet. You've got to have a decent team around him as well. And a lot of managers, I mean, I think all the managers above me have got Haaland and Salah now ready for the Forest game. Ironically, a lot of people got him in for the Forest game, and obviously the games that follow Bournemouth to come next week, or this week, of course. So Salah's not a differential for me anymore. I've got to hope that Son or Saka get me something this week, and then with Odegaard out and Saka at Man City, probably not going to happen, is it? So I don't know. We'll talk about what I'm doing at the end of the show, but I mean, it's a grim read, this, even though there's a lot of Haaland ownership. There's a lot of red,
Well, shout out to Seb, who has got the same points as Zophar and Late Riser, but hasn't made any transfers at all this season.
he's committed to this, getting as many transfers stored as he can, isn't he?
Yep. And he got Nkunku off the bench this week.
Yeah.
Imagine making no transfers and still having Nkunku. If you are struggling, if you are in the millions, don't worry. If you look at the table on the bottom, you'll be able to see that this season, if you look at the great and the good average positions at this point, this is basically the worst start the great and the good have had. So I remember 22-23. That was a difficult season. The average rank at this stage was 1.4 million. The average rank at this season is 2 million.
Look at it in 21-22.
Yeah,
that's
240k.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So at this stage, the average was 240k. So almost every manager in the Great Good had a really incredible start. Is that right? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know, nuts, isn't it? And team value is the lowest it's been in the last 4 years, 100.5.
Yeah.
It's the transfers are about the same, hits are about the same, but those game week 1 teams just like you say haven't really performed. And I think if you had Haaland and Raya, you probably had a decent-ish start to the season. If you didn't have either of those, then you're probably 2 or 3 million. That's probably about how it is, right?
Nothing wrong with being 2 or 3 million,
Nothing wrong with being.
I looked back last year, and I was 3.1 million this time last year. So
you finished just outside the top 10k, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't enjoy last season at all, despite getting 12k and a good rank. I thought it was the most tedious season ever. So I'm more about is this going to be a season where it's going to be twists and turns, and it looked like it was going to be, and I don't know. I sound like a broken record, and maybe it's all going to perk up a bit in a few weeks. Maybe this week's going to turn it around. Saka goes and gets a couple of goals, and Son looks amazing, and Palmer comes good, and all of a sudden everyone wants Palmer.
Haaland hat-trick.
I really hope so. No, I don't want that. we don't need any more of that, as we're about to see in a minute.
Well, we'll see right now. So these tables are the starts after 4 game weeks, the top 10 in terms of points per start. So Haaland has led the way in each of the last 3 seasons after game week 4. He got 6 goals in 4 games last season. He had 6 goals in 4 games the season before that. He's got 9 goals in 4 games this time out. His points per start is 13.5, which is obviously the highest, probably the highest we've ever seen. Right?
Yes,
I don't think
it is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There can't be any players that have had 9 in 4.
And it's also officially his best run of 4 game weeks he's ever had in those 3 seasons as well. Yep. So he's beaten his personal best for that span of game weeks, and he's beaten his best start ever. I mean, this highlights what a strong starter he always is, and fine, we knew that, but wow. I mean, even Pep said, didn't he, that he's surprised at what he's seen from him. And it's interesting, isn't it, that Salah and Haaland are the top two, and we were all saying before the season started, well, they've had a rest, they've had the summer off, and obviously you can say it's down to that. I mean, it may not be, but it probably was a factor in that they're the two top scorers. Salah on 43 points. I think that's his best ever start as well. I had a look at his past seasons, and the scout data doesn't unfortunately have FPL points right the way back to 2021. But his previous best in the last 5 years has been 38 points. So he has had an incredible start as well by his standards. He wasn't in the top 10 last season or the top 10 the season before. I think he got 23 points last season at this stage and 25 the season before. So he's almost doubled. Well, not quite, but he's added 18 points onto last season's tally at this stage.
I mean, that is amazing, isn't it? For a player as well, in the last year of their contract, getting on a bit in the league with all the competition around him, with Jota, with Diaz, with all these other amazing players. And yeah, he's still 10.8 without Haaland. That would be the best start for any player in the last 3 years for Salah. But because Haaland's there, it's kind of equipped it. Diaz is on the list, points per start of 8.8. That would put him. That would also put him second, I think, in the last 2 years. That'd be higher than Mbumo last year. With Rodrigo. Rodrigo's amazing start. God, I remember that. I didn't get any of those points. But yeah, a great start for him. I've got to shout out Gabriel and Raya, though. I mean, I went into this with no Arsenal defence whatsoever. I thought, games against Brighton, games against Villa, game against Spurs, I could make do without a defender and try and get to 6 without one. Raya's just been unbelievable. And the only other goalkeeper who features on these top 10 in the last 3 seasons, amazingly, is Dean Henderson.
I know.
He's at Forest.
And the irony of that, because he's been bloody awful for people who had him.
And I've got him in my team. I'm literally looking at Raya, who I want, and looking at Henderson and thinking, oh dear.
He's taunting you there, because he saved a penalty for Forest as well, didn't he?
Yeah. 22 saves as well in 4 games.
So it shows you how difficult it is for a keeper to get in this top 10. It's like, Henderson's in there because of a pen save and 22 saves. So that's an incredible, obviously, return of saves in terms of save points as well. I mean, we would never expect Raya to have 15 saves by now, would we? We wouldn't expect him to have 3 clean sheets and 15 saves. We might expect to have 3 clean sheets and 5 saves, but not 15. And because he's got 15 saves, he's also picked up 6 bonus points, which again, I don't know. Did he even get that many bonus points last season for the entirety of the season? I'm going to have a look. Because Gabriel and Saliba only got about 6 all season.
Last season, Raya got 6
bonus points. There you go. So he's already levelled his bonus points tally for last season in 4 game weeks. I mean, and yet we were saying at the start of the season, well, you can forget bonus points for keepers.
Well, we were saying forget bonus points for keepers if they concede. Even if they make like 11 saves, they're not getting a bonus. But it does look like if a goalkeeper keeps a clean sheet, they are very, very likely to get at least 1 bonus point. And they will get the most clean sheets this season. But
so, I would say he's in a team where, because obviously the other factors is shots on target and fouls won. And perhaps, Arsenal haven't done enough in those metrics to rival him and knock him out of the BPS. Like, they're not full of players who are having loads of shots. So, I mean, we'll get to the attacking data later. I don't think Arsenal are in the top 3 or 4 teams there. So perhaps, and with Odegaard out, perhaps they're not going to be. Maybe they're going to have to rely on winning games 1 or 2-0. But it works, so why not?
Shout out to Mbumo on here, who is 9th on the list for this season with his 2 goals against Southampton, his goal before that. Obviously, he was 2nd last year after that great run before he had. And yeah, that might be the move that I look to do in that Jota to Mbumo move, which is maybe a bit earlier than I would have liked, but might be sensible because he clearly gets off to good starts. So yeah, one to monitor. Let's take a look at some team data then. Let's start with team data defense. Not huge amounts of changes from when we talked about this last week. We got Liverpool at the top, then Man City, and then Forest. And yeah, I think talk to us about Forest. How on earth did they stop Liverpool at Anfield?
Well, I think that in Aina and Moreno, we've got. I mean, those two at Anfield were absolutely fantastic. I mean, two of the best fullback performances I've seen from a Forest team. Not just Moreno. I mean, he won 6 of his 7 tackles against Salah. Salah really didn't get much out of him at all. And I knew at half time I was saying, I think I tweeted, I said, I just don't see Salah getting anything because we're just throttling them. And every time Salah gets anywhere near the ball, Moreno's on him. We were so aggressive. We were right in their face. And Milinkovic and Murillo are just a great combination. Murillo, obviously very mobile, low centre of gravity. Milinkovic, a bit of a brute, strong in the air, really strong in the air, and a leader. So those two and the two fullbacks it looks like a really good defensive unit. So I do think that we were top 5 for defensive data last season, I think, or top 6. But we didn't turn into clean sheets. I think we kept 1, didn't we? I don't know. I think 1 or 2 clean sheets is all we got. I think this season though is different because
the whole season.
Yeah, I think we only kept a couple of clean sheets all season. It was pretty bad. I think that this season though we've solved the set piece issue with Milinkovic there, and I just think we're growing as a team. And yeah, we're going to get more clean sheets. And suddenly, I'm probably opposite to you. I kind of don't try and talk up Forest too much because I know that.
What are you implying? What are you implying?
I know that as FPL assets, they're not. I wouldn't advise going there. Right, Gibbs White maybe at the start of the season I was pushing him, but I wasn't talking about our defence, even though the data was good last season. But having watched that, I do think that Moreno at 4-4 or Aina at 4-4, both of them at 4-4, really good prospects. Yeah, really good. Because I think we are going to go. We didn't concede at Southampton. We haven't conceded at Liverpool. We've won 4 straight away games now, and we've kept clean sheets in the last 2. We're going to start keeping clean sheets at home, and we've got Fulham, Palace, Leicester, West Ham, Newcastle in a run there that I would say there's 2 or 3 clean sheets there potentially, because I think our defence is strong enough to keep Fulham, Palace, Leicester, and even West Ham. I think we'll get a couple of clean sheets out of that 4. So yeah, if you're looking for 4-5-4-4s, Olareina, Moreno probably would be my choice because he offers so much going forward. And so it is probably time for me to take the non-Forest blinkers off and go, have a look at them. Yeah.
As soon as you start to show a bit of faith, it's all going to go.
I know, that's the thing. We'll get thrashed at Brighton. Yeah.
I mean, because it's still, Robinson's just had a price rise. But he goes into Newcastle, Forest, Man City, Villa in the next 4, which isn't great. I mean, and then Everton away. Everton are awful defensively, but are managing to score goals. And then it's Brentford, who are also managing to score. Whereas, like you say, Forest around that time, Brighton, Fulham, Palace, Leicester, West Ham. Seems, if I was buying a defender now, it definitely wouldn't be Robinson. No. I'd be looking at Aina, or I've just got a soft spot for Moreno.
Oh yeah, he's got the quality going forward as well. I mean, like, I would say he is as good as Robinson going forward. He is an attacking fullback, and he's probably got better delivery than Robinson. Robinson's obviously got that relationship down that side now, and he's been in Fulham for a couple of seasons, and whereas Moreno hasn't. So he's more settled. But I think Moreno will flourish at Forest, and yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good to talk about, and he's got to be someone we look at.
Any more love for Sells?
I think we have. That's the weak spot.
Clanger,
I mean, like, the back 4 looks solid, but the keeper is still a worry. We will buy a keeper in January. I have absolutely no doubt. But until then, you can go Sells, because he's going to play every week, I think. Because I don't think Miguel's ready. But we will undoubtedly buy a keeper in January, because I think it's obviously now the weak spot in the team. So we'll address it. I think we'll go back in for Kelleher. I think we'll try again. So
okay,
yeah. But yeah, and elsewhere in his table, I mean, Villa showing up well, Arsenal in 5th. I mean, it's perhaps what we expect. I mean, is there a defence there you expect to be higher? Maybe United, you expect to be pushing a little bit higher. Newcastle haven't really picked up from where they were last season, despite having an easy run in terms of fixtures. Their defence still doesn't look worth investment. And what can you say about Everton at the moment? I mean, there's not too many surprises. I would expect Brentford to be higher. I mean, ahead of their good run, you'd expect them to climb that table, right?
Yeah, obviously Van der Beek's come in, 4 million option for us. I guess there's a slight concern about whether if he doesn't play through at the back, whether he keeps his place. But you've always been pretty hot on him, haven't you? Like
Yeah, I
what,
love him.
£25 million they paid?
Yeah,
I think
he's a good player.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much done. I'd definitely be taking the punt on him if I could.
But if they play a back four, he's not guaranteed a start because Collins and Pinnock at the moment are the first choice, I would say.
Yeah. Newcastle, I'm surprised at being a bit low. I know obviously they played that Southampton game, but teams look really easy to get at them. There doesn't seem to be a lot of solidity there. Wolves carved them open time and time again. Really, they were lucky to escape that game. 2 individual moments of absolute brilliance. Another kind of share rocket, although a little bit of a deflection. But the Barnes winner was worthy of winning any game. But Wolves had some really good chances in that match. And they're doing well. I mean, if you look at the rating, we know how tough the start they've had, but they're 11th on the table. So credit to them. I like Wolves. I like Strand Larson. I thought he played really well in that game. There's a lot of players like Nori, a lot of players who we've talked about who we might consider, but it's just not the best time for them. Nothing really massively surprising. I guess the only one to really talk about here is Villa, because obviously Concer's really popular. But clean sheets just don't seem to be coming. But the defensive underlying stats are good. We've seen this before with teams like Palace in previous years when defensive data's always been at the highest, but just hasn't translated. I don't know about Concer. I'm not convinced he's a good option.
Out of Robinson and Concer, who would you keep?
Yeah, it's a good question because Robinson's got the attacking threat, but Concer's got the fixtures. I guess you would keep Concer. Out of the two, if I had to pick one of the two, it probably would be Concer, but I don't think I'd pick him because I'd rather go for Moreno or Aina or there's we'll come on to defenders in a bit.
Well, Davis, I think leave Davis now. Which his fixtures looking better. I think I'd take a punt on him because just for a bit of excitement, really.
Yeah. Or Sagawa. Southampton right down the line.
Sugawara, you're just trying to make me say Sugawara, aren't you?
Sugawara, that's it.
I mean, he looks good. We talked about him last week. But I prefer Leif Davis. I mean, for me, set plays, and I think it's only he's got 1 assist, but we haven't really seen the best of him yet. Ipswich needs home games. If we look at the ticker, I think they've got some fixtures coming up where you'd expect them to start showing up as an attacking force. I mean, their bottom of the attacking data are probably about to see that. So they haven't really been able to flex in that way, but I think that's coming. I really like the look of Delap, and I think they've got players. They've bought well, and I think of the promoted teams, they for me are the one that I think could break out and give us some joy in terms of FPL assets.
Delap was like horrible because I went to the Brighton game, missed the first 20 minutes because of a lot of stress, but when Delap came off, the whole crowd breathed a sigh of relief because he didn't offer too much, but that run he went on when he just completely outpaced Van Heck. And I thought Van Heck's either going to bring him down for a penalty or he's going to score. And just off the top of the bar, it was a great option. Davis was really shackled though. He barely came forward at all in that game, and it was Ipswich just put all the men behind the ball and just looked to hit on the counter, which is fair enough. I tell you, Greaves is a hell of a player as well.
We should have got him.
Every ball we put in, he's there just heading it away. He was brilliant. Attack. We got City at the top attack. Obviously got Haaland putting chances away. Liverpool still second despite the blank at Forest. Manchester United in third. I saw, was it Jan Batra tweeted about Rashford trying to get people invested in him?
And I mean, what do you think? I was going to mention him later. No, you don't. You're not.
I was like, no, we can't be going near Rashford. But a goal against the mighty Barnsley in the cup, good performance. Before that,
2, didn't he? I mean, we talked. I mean, I moaned about what we need. We need a bit of a pep, and I think if Rashford was to come good, that's the kind of thing we need. Right? I don't know. I mean, obviously everyone would flood to him. I think he's so streaky though, isn't he? That's the trouble. It's like it's timing it with Rashford. I mean, a couple of seasons ago, I got him on at the right time and I captained him a few times and it turned out really well for me. But then I think, we've seen him just collapse again. And yeah, it would be good to see him back to some form and be in our thoughts again. I would welcome it, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other option is Garnacho, but he's not starting, is he? Because Diallo's keeping him. But he's brilliant. Every time he comes off the bench, he scored in the last Premier League game. Obviously, he scored yesterday as well. I don't know how long Diallo can keep him out for. He will be an option at 6.5 at some point in the season. I'm sure he will.
Yeah. I mean, I know United fans feel it's a bit of a mystery as to why he's not starting yet. And until he does, we can't go there. But yeah, I mean, there could be options coming from United, which would be nice because they've been a bit of a dearth, isn't it? We haven't really been able to go there at all for a while. Defensively, they've been really shaky, and I still wouldn't trust them defensively. But if those two come out, then yeah, that would be very useful indeed.
Villa in 4th, Brighton in 5th. We did show a bit of a different side to us, I thought, in that Ipswich game, and not in a good way, which is how much we struggle to break down that kind of low block, defending really deep team.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've seen that before. That's been classic Brighton, lots of kind of half chances, dominating the game, not being able to kill it off. I think other than Matoma's shot, which he should have scored with, we didn't really create that much. And I think Ipswich were actually fairly comfortable against us because we couldn't do what we normally do, which is create loads of space out wide, get our wingers like cutting in, hitting on the counter, because there was nothing to really counter because they didn't have the ball. So our high press, high counter method didn't really work. So I wanted to maybe see we had like a plan B for that. And against Everton, we maybe did. We maybe looked better as the game went on, but we didn't really against Ipswich. We could have played that game for another 2 hours and not scored against Ipswich. It was like that 0-0 I went against Forest.
You're getting me very excited for Sunday because I'd like to think we're better defensively and better offensively than Ipswich. So that's going to be interesting.
But will you go for it a bit more?
No, I think we'll probably play a very similar game to we did at Liverpool. I would have thought. I think we'll start Hudson-Odoi, but I don't think we'll start both of them. I think we are going to beat you. I think we are. So
I know. We'll talk about predictions in a bit. My dad is 4 out of 4 for Brighton so far. He's predicted the draws against Ipswich and Arsenal, which is outrageous, and the wins against Everton and Manchester United. So he thinks we're going to win. So it's very different to you. The big thing is if we got Pedro back, Rutter was really ineffective. In that game?
Oh, that's good news for Pedro owners. Yeah.
It is good news. I'm going to say it, and I'll probably get slammed for it, but I'm sure Pedro comes back into the 11 if you've got him.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Yeah. That's nice. We're 5th on the table.
Look at the bottom 3 though. Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich.
It's just what I was about to come to, and Everton as well. I mean, Everton, Southampton, Leicester, and Ipswich. They've got to be the 4 favourites to be fighting it out for promotion. Out of relegation. Yeah, obviously relegation, not promotion. And Ipswich are the ones who I think have got the best chance of staying up, I think, at this point. Out of the 4. I mean, Jamie Vardy's scoring goals, but he's barely having any shots, and you've got to think that conversion isn't gonna carry on. But yeah, Ipswich right down. XG non-penalty per 90 of 0.39. That is, Leicester are 19th with 0.83. That is incredibly low.
It is, but I think the fixtures are king here. That's why I think they will start to come out their shell now. I think when McKenna looked at the fixtures, he thought we're not going to be able to show ourselves until 5 or 6 games in. So I think that they've given a good account of themselves already, and I think there's enough there to make me think there's potential. So we'll see. I really hope so, because I really want. It'd be great if Leif Davis goes one further than Doughty did last year for Luton. Goes to double figures for assists or something. That would be great. Other thing to mention here, I mean, we talked about the Arsenal attack, and it hasn't been on point yet, which is perhaps where Raya has been in the bonus. Well, it shows they're 12th, right? 1.25 XG on penalty per 90.
I'm very surprised at that. I mean, they again against Arsenal. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't even speak properly. Against Brighton, they obviously dominated the play. Saka got a lot of joy down the side. They had a couple of chances, but nothing massively clear cut. I wouldn't have thought. Even Havertz's goal was a brilliantly well taken lob. Against Spurs, they struggled in the first 20-30 minutes to even get out. I thought Spurs played really well, massively on the front foot too. So yeah, I'm surprised in the sense that they've got so much like great attacking like talent in the team. And you think with games against Wolves and against Brighton, they would maybe have created a little bit more than they have done. Saka's really interesting to know what to do with. And we talked about him at the start already, but if Odegaard is out and this is going to be a bit of a pattern, then I think he's sellable, isn't he?
Well, the other thing is it impacts Havertz as well. Like Havertz was going to be perhaps a real hope for us as an 8 million forward, but if he's going to play the midfield role, which looks like he is, we're not going to gamble on Trossard, are we, as a midfield asset? Maybe we will, but that's how it's looking. I mean, Jesus is a threat to Trossard, though. So I look at it and think the Odegaard injury, it reduces Saka's appeal. It moves Havertz back, which reduces his appeal. Trossard's not an option because Jesus is a threat to him. Suddenly, it's like, well, if you want Arsenal, you just go Raya and a defender, don't you? And it's like, that's what I meant when I started the show with a bit of, oh dear, it feels like things are contracting before our very eyes. And the Odegaard injury is just another twist that does it, really. I mean, the Duran thing for Watkins is another twist that we didn't expect. That who expected us to think, oh, Watkins is an ex-Mins problem? No chance of that. We thought he was a 90-minute player, didn't we? But I don't see that stopping either. So it's annoying. It's just annoying. Like, hopefully Saka comes through it and Saka takes the mantle and goes, even without Odegaard, I'm going to be the key man and my output's not going to be affected. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. The jury's out, isn't it?
I've just had a message from Focal about the OBS video resolution. So I've just changed a couple of settings on OBS. I can't, honestly, everything looks fine on my screen.
Yeah, but
so
we're using OBS and we're not using OBS.
Yeah, but we are technically, because we're streaming it to thingy. Anyway, I've tried a few things. Let me know if that's made any difference whatsoever. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. But yeah, let me know. Should we get some player data?
We can.
Let's have a look at goalkeepers to start with. I think we did quite a big segment on this. I don't think anything's massively changed too much, apart from the fact that Sells might be an option for us going forward. But I still think you're going to go Raya or you're going to go Flecken at this point, aren't you?
Yeah, I think that's the way, isn't it? I mean, I'm interested to see what wildcards do. I think because of the Odegaard injury, we're going to see wildcards with Raya and Gabriel now, which, at the start of the season, people would have gone Raya's too much to pay for a keeper, but it's a bit like Haaland, isn't it? Nowhere near as profitable, but 29 points for a keeper is still good. And I've been on the end of, I've had seasons where I've owned that keeper like Flecken on 12 points and started looking up and thinking, I thought not having a good keeper is not a big deal, but there's already 17 points between Flecken and Martin and Raya and Henderson. There's 21 points difference. So is that 21 points worth $1 million? Yeah, it probably is. It probably is, isn't it? So, and we're not talking about Raya, who's playing for a team who isn't about, they're the best defensive team as well. So I do think we're starting to come around to the idea now. I'd be surprised if Raya wasn't very popular in wildcards anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look at Henderson down in 23rd, 8 points. Raya matched him in an away game against Spurs. His entire season points. It's absolutely.
It's amazing, isn't it, how that adds up? How the keeper really, because your perception is it's the position that has the least impact on your team. And I think it still probably is. But when there is one or two keepers really racing away with it, and we've seen it in previous seasons, you look up and think, oh God, the gap is quite big. It's much bigger than I expected. Flecken, I think, is a very good bet because he'll make saves and they've got great fixtures. So 4-5s are still going to be an option because of Flecken's fixtures. But I do think the Odegaard thing might make people think, well, I don't need two Arsenal attackers. So I'm going to go an Arsenal defender and I'll go Raya. I think that might be what we see.
I think Raya's the pick. I think Raya's the pick out of the Arsenal defence. I think Raya's the pick out of the goalkeepers. His price hasn't gone up yet, which he must be on the verge of going up to 5-6. He'll be a 6 million goalkeeper by the end of the season. I've got no doubt. And I mean, how many points can he get? He's on track to score the most of any goalkeeper ever, surely. Because, I mean, how many clean sheets are they going to get this season? 38 games? They could get
15 min, I'll say. 15
min. 15, 20 clean sheets.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's showing to be a really good keeper, isn't he, as well? Because like I think last season it was like, well, he's a top 10 keeper in a top 1 defence. but when tested, Raya's, going to concede goals. But actually, this season he's shown up to be pretty outstanding when they have let chances through, and they have. He's made some really good saves, so he deserves to be there on merit. It's not because the defenders has done all the work for him. He actually has put in shifts and made some good saves. So you're getting a very good keeper in front of or behind a very good defence. But I do think 4-5s could still come out. Sells, we've talked about Fleckham as well. So it's not a done deal, not yet.
And for Bruggen, he's been very impressive. I thought he was very impressive against Ipswich as well. And when he was called into action, he just looks very astute, very confident. But yeah, I do still worry. I did the Forest pod today with Matt, which was really good. He lets me talk about Brighton when I go on there, unlike you, who
does he
shut me down? Yeah,
okay,
it's very nice.
Yeah.
He actually asked me my opinions on Brighton, lets me go on monologues.
Okay, well, I must have a word with him because he's got it all wrong. But
yeah, it's been lovely. I can't remember the point I was trying to make, but yeah, it was.
You're saying you're still worried about something. Are you worried about Veltman? Is that
yeah, still worried about the ball over the top. That's it. I don't think we
haven't got any pace.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you haven't got any pace, or we haven't.
Well, not really. I mean, if Haaland comes on, then you got to worry, but I don't think he'll start. So, I mean, Hudson-Odoi against Veltman would be interesting.
Yeah. He reminded me of last season. We come off the back of that Roma thrashing, and then we played you, and you put out a really weird,
terrible
team, and we ended up winning that game. And I just think surely you play Hudson-Odoi and Elanga against Veltman, and I mean, who's even going to be at left back? It's probably going to be Kadioglu, I'd say,
right.
Because I don't think Hinchelwood's going to play there again. Kadioglu got some minutes in the last game. That'll be a tough matchup for him. I think Elanga is class, but you don't think he'll start?
No, I think he'll play Ward-Prowse and Anderson, and we'll try and win a few free kicks around the box and let Ward-Prowse do his thing. So we'll see. I just want Ward-Prowse is a player that whenever I've watched him for Southampton and West Ham, I've thought to myself, I wish we had a player who every time the free kick is won, you're genuinely excited because you're expecting it to be on target, if not going in. And now he's in our team. I just can't wait for the first free kick we win because that anticipation of he's going to score this. And the opposition fans are like, "Oh Christ!" They're really worried. So it's really good. I really enjoy having him in the team. So I think for that reason he'll play. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's move on to defenders. So we can't talk about.
You're going, right? You're going on Sunday.
Yeah. So I'll be doing my walkabout videos from Brighton on Sunday morning and taking some footage from the game as well. So
make sure you get there in plenty of time. Unlike Yella and I, who just completely messed up our timings.
I was going to ask about the drama. What happened?
We left a bit too late, and it was one of those ones where we would have got away with it if there wasn't all the traffic in the world. And then we got to Mill Park, where because you have to get a park and ride bus over to the stadium from Mill Road. That was completely full. So we had to park at the Withdean, which was our old stadium, and get a taxi over to the stadium.
Beautiful.
We got stuck in traffic. Yeah, we literally got there.
For a football match. Who would have thought it?
I know.
How are you meant to
outrageous. The game had bloody started. It was 10 minutes in, and there was it's basically however long you think it's going to take you to get to the Amex, add another hour onto it. It was funny because we were walking around the outside of the Withdean, and I said to no, this is our old stadium. And she was like, This was a stadium. Just about. This is defender data on the screen. Look at that, Milinkovic right at the top at 0.66. Is that just because of one really good chance?
Yeah, at Southampton. That one for Match of the Day challenge where I went, oh, do you remember? Yeah. So but he's
Trent is second.
Yeah, he's obviously a threat of set plays, and obviously with James Ward-Prowse taking them, we could see something from him. So, yeah, but I still prefer the fullbacks if you're looking at Forest players. Go ahead, Trent, and then Romero and De Ligt as well showed up, didn't he, for the goals at Southampton?
He did. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Trent quickly. I mean, at what point does Trent become an issue for us? Because we're talking about him like he's completely indispensable, and we wouldn't go anywhere near him. That's fine, but it's still no attacking returns for him. He is still 7 million-ish, and there are going to be wildcards being played. Are we entering into a period where there might be a case to go without him?
I wouldn't personally, not yet. I can see what you're saying. I mean, I don't know. Against Forest, he didn't really create. He had 4 chances, but none of those really were good chances. But it was a difficult game for him. The best is to come. I still think that he's going to be. You're not going to be registering an average of 0.64 and not getting returns. So we will start seeing assists soon, and he'll get 2, 3, 4 goals maybe over the season as well. I still think that wildcard teams will be built with him in. I don't think there's strong alternatives yet. I mean, City defenders, Vardiol's there, of course. Lewis is there, but Lewis doesn't really cost you money, and he's obviously still an option. He's starting tonight, which I didn't expect. So while you can go Lewis to cover the City defence, why would you not have the money to go Trent to cover Liverpool? Unless of course you're going to go Gabriel and Porro and Raya. So maybe like that combination means you need to bring your budget down for Trent. So maybe the emergence of the Arsenal defence is the way to go, rather than going 2 Arsenal attackers, you go 2 Arsenal defenders. That might mean people have to move money out of their defence, but I wouldn't do it. I'd stick with it. It's 4 game weeks, small sample, and the data suggests that returns are coming.
But Ollie Sack is hanging on. He was a season keeper last week. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just one of those. It's a bit like Rodgers, isn't it? Like you watch Rodgers play, you think he's close to points, and the weeks go on, and he's not really delivering. Rodgers is a 5 million asset you can bench, but Trent needs to start getting something. But I mean, these stats are so encouraging, aren't they? Like 0.64 XG on per 90. He's creating 3 chances a game. The second best is Porro with 2.5, who's also a good option, but it's even higher than that. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere from my team. I'm keeping him.
Yeah, and I don't think wildcards will overlook him yet. You're right, patience might run out, but I think that's folly. And I also think defensively, Liverpool are better this season too. So you're going to get more clean sheets anyway, which makes it easier. If he was 8 million, by now we'd probably see people losing patience. But I think at 7 million with the options around him, I think that's fine. I think you hold him, and I think he will come good and then some. So yeah,
you'd rather have him than Diaz or Jota, wouldn't you? I think if you're going to pick one other than Salah.
Yeah, to the X-Mins. They're only getting an hour, and it's a real shame, isn't it? I mean, I really want Diaz to be a thing, but with Gakpo showing up so well last night, you've got to think that it's going to continue, that we're going to see Diaz every time you get to an hour mark between 60 and 70 minutes. If you own Diaz or Jota, you're expecting it, aren't you? You're expecting the ball to go up, and you're almost thinking, "Oh, don't kick it out. Try and play for another 10 minutes without kicking it out," because it's a horrible feeling. I've owned those assets before, and eventually you start going, "No, let's go to an Eze or a Gordon who are going to give me 90 minutes, basically."
Yeah, Lewis. Let's talk about Lewis. I think I said to you last week, is there a chance Lewis could go to left back? And we were both kind of like, I mean, he could do, but kind of why would he? Because obviously Gvardiol's there. That is what happened. I don't know if that's good for him or not, because he's surely not going to carry on. It's good in the way that he's obviously versatile, but he can play in different positions, so he's got more routes into the team. But you'd rather he would nail down a spot on the right potentially.
I don't mind.
It doesn't look like that's the case. Happy with that?
He's on the right tonight. And I'm shocked because I thought Walker was back in at the weekend to get him ready for tonight, and then Walker doesn't show up tonight. I don't know whether there's an injury. I haven't seen that. But I think it's clear that Lewis is getting the level of minutes that Lewis is getting. He obviously was off at half-time on Saturday. That must have been with this in mind, I guess. I don't know. It's just really strange. We can't yet figure it out. And I think now that European fixtures are here, we'll get more answers. I was chatting to Luke about it, and it's almost like we've got to throw out what we know so far about Pep's lineups and kind of start again and reassess. And tonight's lineup is interesting because it's not what I expected. I did expect Walker to be in there and Lewis maybe to make way. Do we think Lewis starts against Arsenal? I personally not expecting him to, and I've got him benched, but if I knew he was going to start, I might even start him because, he does offer you something going forward as well. He's just the darling at the moment. And at the moment, I just see him starting most games.
Would you buy him now?
Yes, I think you would. If you wildcard, I think you give it another week. I think you want to see what happens against Arsenal. If you're wildcarding 6, it's pretty perfect. And most people are going to be wildcarding game week 6 or 7 now, I would have thought, unless people are going to push it right out. I think you wait and see what happens against Arsenal. If he starts against Arsenal, it's a done deal, isn't it? You've got to go there, I think. So, because eventually, I think it's a bit like Trent. The attacking data here, 0.41 XG non-penalty. He's got 1 assist so far. He's going to add to that with that data. You know, in that team, he's going to get more assists and perhaps 1 or 2 goals as well. So you can't avoid him. I don't think you can ignore him.
Yep. I wanted to talk about Robertson. He was a bit of a darling this week. I know quite a few people did Gabriel to Robertson. I think Ben Crellin did, didn't he?
Oh, gotta hurt, isn't it?
Ouch. Yeah, it was quite a popular move. Do you think people will be regretting that now? I mean, he shows up well on this. He's 10th on the list, 0.32 XG non-penalty benign. We've talked about Liverpool, looking decent defensively. He got the rest in the Champions League yesterday. Simicast played in that, so you've got to think he's pretty nailed on to start. I still think he's a pretty good asset, but I still think at 6 million, I'd rather have Gabriel. I'd rather have Saliba. I'd rather have Porro. I'd rather have Trent. He's still quite far down the list for me.
I don't know if Gabriel. Yes, I'd rather have Gabriel. I think there is, for me, if we know Gabriel and Saliba both start every game, who would you rather have? I think there's quite a gap between Gabriel and Saliba. I think we talked about it earlier in the pre-season about who's going to be the threat at set plays. And what we saw at Spurs was he was a monster, wasn't he? I mean, like, Romero just didn't know what to do. And there is a difference, isn't there? When the set pieces come in, there's a difference in the level of threat between Saliba and Gabriel. And I think that in the end could tell and could mean that Gabriel gets more points. But I guess, is there still a nagging doubt that Saliba's more nailed? I guess there is, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But Gabriel has started. It's a bit of a contrast to last season when he was dropped and kind of had to fight his way back into the team. He started so impressively. I mean, no one scored more from set pieces than Gabriel since he signed. No player, and no defenders scored more set pieces than Gabriel since he signed as well. So, he could go on and, I mean, who's got the record for most goals for defenders? Probably, I can't even think of it. Might be
Baines, maybe.
He had penalty. John Terry got quite a few, didn't he? Ivanovic, he scored quite a few as well.
Ivanovic got a few, yeah. I mean, he could have a season where he gets 7 or 8 goals.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think that could happen because the set pieces from Arsenal look even better now than they did last season. And they were scoring for fun. They just caused so many issues. And when you're up against a keeper like Vicario, who, he's not going to come out and claim it very well.
It was bad.
It's just an easy way to target points. And to win the game with that is just...
It was funny, though. I was watching Liverpool and Milan last night, and Liverpool got the first goal, Konate, from a set play. And you watch the goal back and you thought, oh, my God, just look at... they've got nothing to stop Liverpool at set plays. Like Konate and Van Dijk, they look like they just want it far more than any of the Milan defence. And then 20 minutes later, Van Dijk scores as well. Same thing. And it was like that. Arsenal Spurs, you saw set plays and you just think Spurs just aren't competing for the ball at set plays. They're just, if the delivery is right, it's over. They score and it happened. And you've got to be really strong at set plays to keep Arsenal out because often the delivery is good. And in Gabriel, they've got someone who just attacks the ball ferociously and it's hard to stop. It really is. So yes, I'd rather have Gabriel over Robertson because I think it's going to be Arsenal will keep more clean sheets and they'll keep clean sheets in difficult games. And Gabriel's always there. It's hard to predict when the goals come, but they will come. I think he'll get 5. I think he'll get 5 for sure.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, I think was it Merson who said the other day? He was like, sometimes people just chuck up their centre backs and they kind of trot up, and they're doing it because they're told to. Whereas the Arsenal centre backs go up thinking they're going to score every time they go up. I'd be surprised if Gabriel didn't get 5 goals this season. Although maybe they get shared a bit more between him and Saliba.
Maybe. The other thing is if Odegaard is out, is Arteta thinking we're going to have to make more set plays now because scoring goals from open play might be more difficult for us. So they might even over-index on them. They might even put more effort in. But their set play coach is first class, and they're scoring. The patterns they run and the routines they run. You look at it and you just think, oh God, how do you stop that? The movement and aggression is just a different level. So yeah.
And a massive shout out to James of Planet FPL, because I was listening to his Ask James podcast, and the questions kept coming in. Should I bench Gabriel? Do this every time. James was like, "Don't bench Gabriel. Do not bench Gabriel against us."
The set piece thing coming.
Yeah, he was like, he was like, both Saliba and Gabriel will both have a good chance against us from a set piece. I can't remember Saliba having one, but obviously Gabriel needed one to score, so he absolutely called that. Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, if you had to pick one out of Gabriel and Raya, where would you go?
I'd want them both now, I think, but
that's not an option.
I'd probably go Raya, just because you can get Porro and you can get Trent and you can get Lewis, so you don't have to have Gabriel. But I think he's by far the best alternative to those three now. I mean, moving Porro up to Gabriel, probably people are going to look at that, I imagine.
Look at this from Robbo 8ball. Got Gabriel off the bench for Pedro. Oh,
disgraceful.
That is absolutely. I was happy with Smith Rowe, but that is next level. Any other defenders? Yeah, fair play. Any other defenders you want to mention?
Ben White hasn't shown up yet. He's further down there. We've talked about Aina. Moreno isn't on this table yet, but a few home games expect him to show up because he will start creating. Nori was going to be an option, but Wolves have gone back to a back four, haven't they? So that takes the shine off him a little bit, I think, more than a little bit maybe. And I read that Wolves 16 games without a clean sheet now.
Yeah.
So defensively, they are there to be got at, really. So maybe, we talked about him last week, but maybe we need to call our boots on him a bit. Dina, did we talk about him? I'm only joking. But he got the assist, didn't he?
We slated him last week. He slated him and he turned up with an assist. Played again as well last night in the Champions League. He's Maatsen isn't getting anywhere near the team at the moment.
No, it's just not what we expected at all, was it? And he's playing well. I guess the only other one I pick out is Leif Davis here. He's 29th on this table, 0.16. Watch him climb that. Let's see if he can make the top 10 in a few weeks, because I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he's climbing that table soon.
Yep. I think Focal might be on something with these graphics, by the way, because apparently they are a lot better.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't had any complaints in a while. All I did, if you care, is I put up the bit rate on OBS.
Oh, well done.
No, thanks to Focal for that. Midfielders, we've got Garnacho at the top. We spoke about him a little while ago. 2.34 XG, non-been 90. Obviously, he hasn't. Has he started yet? He started one. No. Or has Diallo started all? He's not started one game. That is madness. A goal and assist for him. Obviously, we can't really consider him. I mean, Barnes is the same, isn't he? You thought Barnes might keep Gordon out the side, but it turns out he's just slipped over to the other side.
I tell you what, surely he's got to start. I mean, when he came on, I immediately stuck him in my so rare team, and he got me the goal because I knew that he's going to make an impact. I think he's been playing really well when he's been on the pitch for Newcastle. Did well in pre-season as well. I just don't see how can leave him out now, because he carries so much direct threat. And him and Gordon, I mean, I didn't think Newcastle played well again. I mean, I watched the game and I was like, as an Isak owner, first half, I was like, he might as well go off because I just couldn't see him doing anything.
No, I know.
They were poor. Gordon was good. Gordon looked really lively, but that was about it. I just don't know what's missing from them this season. The verve has gone. The verve and the vigour and the, I don't know. Have you watched them? And I've just been totally unconvinced every time.
I think the biggest problem is losing Trippier, losing the amount of chances he created. You think about the start of last season, how effective he was. They were looking to get the ball to him at every opportunity they could so he could create something from the right. And now he's not really in the team. They've moved Gordon over to the other side. There's just not a lot of creativity in the side. So
no, you're right. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're asking for players to step up with individuals. So it's a bit like watching England play. There's not a whole amount of cohesion between the teams. So they're looking for the big players to step up and create something kind of out of nothing. And that is what happened in the Wolves game. But I wasn't impressed with them. And they've had really good results. It's been a really good start to the season results-wise. But in every match, I've been pretty disappointed with them. And I'm holding Gordon. I mean, where's Gordon on this list? Is he on the top? He's not even in the top 20. He's top in his 30th.
He is on the table. Yeah.
30th. 0.68 isn't too bad, actually. It's pretty good.
No, he has played well, and it's just just something isn't right at Newcastle, and it makes me wonder as an Isak owner how long I can hold him until we need it to click. And he's another example of what Isak is a player that if you haven't gone Haaland or you haven't gone Haaland and Salah, you can hold Isak and hope where he might be able to trade blows with them two. But no, not sign of it really, because Newcastle aren't playing well enough.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Jota's 6th on the list. We've been talking about him sort of being being a bit poor the last few games, but the stats are impressive. I mean, Diaz is 3rd, 1.39 XG on penny per 90. Jota's there with 1.25, and Salah's in 4th at 1.31, sort of sandwiched in the middle between them. But even with these stats, I'm just not convinced on Jota. I think he probably has to go for me, right?
Do you
think he starts Bournemouth? I
think there's a risk there because of Gakpo's performance last night. Because you've got to think Diaz comes back in and Gakpo's staking a claim. I think he loves Jota though. And we know that Slot doesn't alternate his team very much. Although he did say last night, well, we haven't played midweek yet, and so Jota starting last night would suggest that perhaps he does alternate it. And let's face it, he's not going to look at the Forest performance and think that it worked. But he was pleased last night with what he saw. But then Gakpo played a big part in that. So you've got to think Gakpo's due a start, isn't he? So yeah, there's a risk there for sure.
Yeah. I think I probably will get rid. Smith Rowe, 5.5 million. You sold him actually he's up to 5.7 now, isn't he? Because he's had a couple of price rises. Golden assist for him, still coming off around the 70-minute mark, but an extra on penalty per 90 of 0.83. I'm happy with him. Easy hold.
Yeah, I do regret selling him. I mean, the only reason I sold him was because I had the money to go directly Smith Rowe to Eze, which meant I could keep Son. And on the off chance he got something at Arsenal or maybe this week against Brentford, that was probably worth doing. But I regret it because had I gone Son to Eze, I'd have had money to take Wissa out now for probably maybe even Watkins. I don't know. I'd have to do the calculation, but I think so. So it would have given me more options in my transfer this week had I done that. And of course, Smith Rowe outscored Son. But yeah, it's tough. Got that wrong, but it could have gone the other way, I suppose, as well. I did expect Arsenal to maybe give up more ground without Declan Rice there, but Spurs never looked like scoring for me. They just didn't create enough, and Son was abject. I thought he had a poor game, really. So yeah, Smith Rowe with heavy heart, and maybe if I'm wildcarding soon, he's someone I will maybe get back. But
oh no,
he's doing enough, isn't he?
Classic reversal. How are you feeling about Eze now? Because the underlying stats are good. 0.93, he's 18th on the list.
You want more, don't you? Yeah, I mean he's shown. I mean, Semenyo's had 20 shots and Eze's had 18, so they're the top two for shot volume from midfield. But he's just not had the output, just the one goal. And obviously the Pens thing now, we thought that was part of the contract when we signed him, and it's not now because Mateta's maybe taken them all. But so it really is dependent on that. I do think returns will come. Man United and Everton next two, you've got to keep him for those two because I think he will threaten United because Palace will raise themselves for that game. And Everton, well, they're conceding 3 goals in every game. So, yeah, you've got to think he's in line for something there.
And out of the cup last night as well to Southampton, right?
It's bad for Sean, isn't it? Fucking bad.
Oh, dear. But we are going to talk about Calvert-Lewin in a minute. Maybe he's the one to turn him around. Rodgers, if you're wondering, is 63rd on this list. His XG on 90 isn't great, 0.37. He's more of an eye test player, isn't he? He's the classic. He's the classic grass versus spreadsheet. Yeah, I think he is literally Grass FC's mascot now because I watch him every week and I think, how the hell has he not got anything from this? But I mean, he's getting a 90. He is 5 million. The Villa fixtures are still great. It's just like this week, for example, I've probably got to bench one of Smith Rowe or Rodgers, and that is such a difficult choice because I think obviously the fixtures with Rodgers, but Smith Rowe keeps finding a way to get in. In the points.
If you bench, maybe I should tell you to bench Rodgers because the inevitable will happen if you do. I mean, surely there's a double-figure return coming for Rodgers.
That's what I'm thinking. And Smith Rowe's going to keep ticking along, but I'm still trying to hit that double-digit for Rodgers.
Yeah, well, I haven't
Oh,
got that dilemma. I'm gonna start him.
yeah.
But I would start Rodgers myself. But yeah,
He's currently starting, so yeah, we'll see. And the only one player I want to talk about was Bowen. He might be a factor for us in a few weeks, maybe on wildcard. He's a bit pricey, but two assists and a goal. XG on 0.90, not great. 0.41. He's 54th on the list of all midfielders. I can't believe Antonio is still starting for West Ham. Surely they've got to change that up and get Fulkrug in or get another option. I think he is. Yeah, I think he is. But they've got to get him in as soon as he's fit, right? Because Antonio shouldn't be playing at Premier League level anymore, should he?
Well, I mean, he's still a bit of a handful, but yeah, I agree with you. And I just wonder is Bowen not going to play down the middle eventually? I mean,
well, that's what I'm wondering. Why not?
Moyes tried it. Lopetegui doesn't want to go there, does he? It seems so. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. West Ham
come back in.
Yeah, I mean, what's their fixtures like? I don't really think they pick up that well. They're patchy still, aren't they? I mean, it's a big step to go to Bowen, I think, when Mbeumo's about. And yeah, okay, they are.
I mean, they're
improved,
not bad,
but the next two, where's the run? Where's the concentrated run where you're expecting returns? United, Forest, Everton, I suppose. But yeah. I mean, he can get goals in
it. It's now, isn't it? It's if you're going to invest in Bowen, it's probably now because you get Chelsea at home, Brentford, Ipswich, Spurs, Man United. That's not a bad run, but would you go for him over Mbeumo, who's got Spurs, West Ham, Wolves, Man United, Ipswich? Probably not. I guess if you're only going for Haaland, you maybe got a bit more money to play around. But yeah, I do like Bowen, but like you say, I think there's probably better options, and the fixtures aren't good enough to go there.
Yeah, and I also think under Lopetegui, are they a side that are going to let rip and score 3 or 4 goals? I mean, I remember them going to Brighton and scoring 3 and beating you on your own territory. And under Moyes, every now and then they just had that performance that made you think, oh, you know what, Kudus and Bowen, they could be options. But under Lopetegui at the moment, I haven't seen them take the handbrake off, and that makes me think, I don't want to go there at the moment. I'd love him to be an option, though. I mean, this is what we need. We need those players to come through. So let's hope it happens.
Yep. Let's go for some forwards then.
Fulkrug is fit. Okay, Nigel. Well, I can't figure out then. Answers on a postcard as to why Antonio's starting.
He's flagged. He's flagged on FPL.
Yeah.
He's got a yellow flag. Paqueta was benched. I think that's because of Brazil, right? Because he came back from that. I expect Paqueta to be straight back in. But yeah, if Fulkrug is fit, then surely he has to go into the side. Forwards, I don't think we need to talk about Haaland anymore.
I don't want to talk about Haaland.
Pretty decent, isn't he?
Look, I mean, the only thing to mention here is, and maybe this is a crumb of comfort, 73% accuracy and 45% conversion rate. He can't keep that up. That's not possible.
You're going to be saying that every week to game week.
I know, and I think I said it last week, didn't I? I said that, of all the players, this is the one player where you think maybe it can be sustainable because he is a machine, hence the title of this show this week. But yeah, I don't want to spend any more time. I mean, Watkins, we talked about. Wissa, that's a cruel blow. I mean, obviously, I got Wissa in ready for game week 6. I mean, I was never going to play him.
The fact he scored and then went off injured.
Yeah, he was not going to get in my 11 until game week 6. But I bought him with that in mind. I bought him for the immediate game, which he got me a return in. Then I thought, I'll bench him for a couple, bring him back in 6, have him for the lovely run, probably double up on Mbeumo. Here's a question for you. With Wissa out, any impact on Mbeumo?
Yeah, I think so, because they've got such a good partnership, haven't they? That's really evolved over the last couple of seasons. Obviously, Tony had the ban at the start of last season. They kind of were forced into that kind of partnership. Tony came back, was really ineffective. Brentford struggled. Tony's out again, and then Mbeumo and Wissa both started really well again. And he's a really, really good player. Wissa, it's got loads of energy. Yeah. He can finish, causes defenses absolutely tons of problems as well. Also, it lets Mbeumo drift out right, which he's really effective at doing, and kind of coming in from the right. I wonder if Mbeumo's going to have to stay a bit more central. Now, I mean, what do you reckon happens with it? Do you reckon Sharda comes in?
Well, that's what that's where the smart money is going, isn't it? And I think that maybe Carvalho could be a factor in this. I wonder whether Carvalho, after last night's performance, somehow finds a place in that team because he's a quality player, isn't he? I mean,
I really like Carvalho.
Well. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know whether some system can be built around Carvalho as an option by Thomas Frank. I just don't know. But at the moment, it'll be Shardo who will start down the middle, I guess, with Mbeumo playing off him, and maybe Carvalho comes into a midfield role. But yeah, we'll get one. I mean, this is if you're wildcard 6. I don't know if you'll have enough information to make a decision on Brentford in terms of is Vandenberg an option, is Sharda an option, is Carvalho an option. Maybe you need a bit more data before we can commit. But I guess you can move to them when it sorts itself out. There's no doubt though the Brentford run is so strong that you want to get on it though, right?
Is Sharda an option at 5-4
in midfield? Yeah, I think so. I think that if you're brave and you commit the wild card this week or next, then it's worth going for, I think, because of the fixtures is just so good. I mean, he's not a prolific goal scorer. He's not really a central striker, in my opinion.
2 goals is the most he's ever had in the league.
It could be worth going for because I think that, it'd be nice to think you can take a risk on a couple of gambles. And how big a gamble would it be? Because I think he will start, and I think he'll start down the middle for a team with good fixtures. So I like it. I like the idea of it.
Yeah, you're getting a 5-4 out of position midfielder with, let's say you wildcard in 6. With West Ham and Wolves at home, then Manchester United, then Ipswich. If you're going to take a punt on someone, then move off a highly owned player like Smith Rowe, even Rodgers, someone like that, then he might be someone to consider. Kevin Sharda, look at us talking about him. Xerxes, I was impressed with. He's 4th on the list. How he didn't come away with a return against Southampton, I don't know. He looked really lively and interesting, but again, I'm not sure we're going to be risking it. I mean, how much is he in FPL? Is he about 6 million, 6.5?
He started his season at 7 million. He didn't turn up with the reputation as a prolific goal scorer. He's more, he plays a role in the build up. He's somewhat creative as well, and I think that Haaland is the goal scorer, and Xerxes is just a different option. And I think we can see that, right? I don't think he's going to tempt investment when there's midfield options for United. That's the problem.
Yeah, it was one of those games, all right. I saw the highlights of it, and it's just every highlight seemed to feature Xerxes in some way. And it was, we don't fully trust him yet, but he's someone who might emerge for us a bit later in the season. He's someone I've now put on my radar when I hadn't really thought about it, but maybe it was just the kind of like Southampton effect, and we need to kind of be a bit. Be a bit less warm on it. Anyone else want to talk about here? Every time we've got to talk about it, we've got to talk about Calvert-Lewin, Dr. David, 1963. He's very, very popular, 5.9 million. I'm seeing loads of transfers in for him. Just to come back to the fixtures again, I mean, the fixtures for Everton are unbelievable. Leicester, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, both at home. Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford, Man United, Wolves. That's right up to game week 15. They don't play any top 6 teams until game week 15.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And they will have to score goals. And to be honest, like in attacking terms, they have had long spells in games where they've looked convincing. I mean, him and McNeil, there is no reason why you shouldn't consider them with that run of fixtures. I mean, McNeil, I don't think we touched on him in midfielders. He's 5'4", I believe, and so could be an alternative in that.
No players created more chances in the league than McNeil.
17 chances. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So those two, we should talk about them. My only fear is obviously the levels of confidence in the Everton camp, and how long is it before it starts to tell on the output of the attackers as well. Calvert-Lewin on pens as well, though. So I mean, we're scratching around at the moment, aren't we? With the Visser injury, that does seem to be the most obvious replacement. Chris Wood could be as well, though, because I do think obviously Forest are growing as a force, and we've got decent fixtures, and he could score.
You were anti Chris Wood last week.
Yeah, why not in that bracket? The other player to mention is Nketiah, because I do think he's 5'9". Maybe if you don't have Eza, it's an option. I don't know if I double up on Eza and Nketiah, but United and Everton, I think he got his first goal for the club last night. It's only a matter of time before he scores in the league, so he's another option. So there are choices there to move Visser out to. Evan Nilsson as well, maybe in that bracket too.
Yep.
None of them are really go-tos. None of them are obvious, and maybe Calvert-Lewin is the most obvious because of what we know in the past and the fixtures. So yeah, I'm behind it, but I think if I was wildcarding, I'd probably look to go with Watkins and Haaland and a 4-5 probably, if it's what I'd do. I don't know if I'd go 3 strikers.
Yeah, I mean, I still think João Pedro is the one if he's fit at 5-5. I still think that's incredible value. Obviously, there's a Muniz problem for a lot of people who started with him after his 40 shots and no goal. Of all the players we've talked about today, you can have patience with players, and I mean, Seb's still got Nkunku, so you never know what might happen. But Muniz is the obvious sale for me if you've got him, because Jimenez came in and scored, and you have got options now. To move, you could move down to Calvert-Lewin, you could move to Vardy, for example. You could move to Pedro if you haven't got him. Evan Nilsson, like you mentioned, there are options around that bracket. So if you've got Muniz, I think that's quite an easy sell. If I had Muniz, I'd be taking the punt on Calvert-Lewin. Although he's ill at the moment. That's
it. The thing is with Calvert-Lewin as well, it's the fitness, isn't it? He just finds a way of breaking down, and so you can look at that fixture run and think, well, he's going to be great for that fixture run, but you cannot take anything for granted with his fitness, because we've seen it year after year, haven't we?
Yeah, Delap's going to be an option for us at some point this season. I really like him. I really like him, and when Ipswich gets some slightly better fixtures, I think he's going to start scoring some goals. I reckon he'll get. I'm gonna go optimistic. I'm gonna say he gets 12 goals this season.
What, for Calvert-Lewin?
No, Delap.
Maybe, but
between 10 and 12 goals.
Maybe get double figures. It's very difficult for a promoted striker to get double figures, but you really rate him, do you?
I like him. I thought.
I mean, Schmodix was bought as the goal scorer, maybe, but Delap maybe more as a battering ram. But yeah, maybe. I mean, he's looking very direct. He's got a lot of threat, pace, and strength. So it's whether Ipswich can make the most of the better fixtures. But I think between 8 and 10 might be ambitious.
Yeah, minutes are a bit of a concern as well, because he was subbed early against Brighton. Just a lot to like about him. Right, anything else on forwards before we move on?
No, I will say that the data's been wrong tonight. So it has been spotted in chat, and I spotted it as we go. So the XGI column is not correct. So I don't know what's gone wrong with that. So apologies, and I will post the proper calculations post podcast. So something's gone wrong in the calculations when I did them last night.
They look right.
No, they're not. There's no way Haaland's got 2.28 XGI non-penalty per 90, right? So something's gone wrong there. So okay. I mean, the order is right in terms of probably the XGI tally, but not the totals in that column. It's not been right for any of the tables. So apologies for that. Oversight, very difficult, very, very difficult to get it right after work sometimes when you're up against it. So I will check them and put new tables out on Twitter post release to get them right.
When I say they look right, I mean like they look logical. Like none of them look.
They look logical, but the numbers aren't right. The calculation. Okay. So something's gone wrong in the Excel calculation. So yeah, I've been spotting it all night, thinking that can't be right, and it's been spotted in chat as well. So apologies for that. But I don't think anything's misleading. I think like the order of the players is probably absolutely
that's
correct.
what I mean. Yeah.
And obviously the other data is right. It's just the XGI non-penalty per 90 column. I don't know what's gone wrong. I need to look at it. So apologies for that.
Is that Nigel? He's fuming.
Yeah, I'll mute.
Oh no, Mark's gone to beat up Nigel. Poor Nigel. He doesn't deserve that. Well, that's it for forwards. While Mark is gone, I just want to talk about Sleeper, obviously the sponsor of BlackBox this season. Interesting one this time out. If anyone listening to this is looking at becoming a form of content creator for their club, or has any interest in making social media posts, making videos, doing all that kind of thing, Sleeper have actually got a paid opportunity to do that. It's called The 12th Voice. There's a link in the description into this video, and essentially you can fill out an entry form. You can send it over to Sleeper, and they're looking for people or fans of clubs to do social media posts, to do videos, to do all different content around their own club. I debated entering it for Brighton, and then thought I'm already doing enough.
Yeah,
football content.
I know.
Imagine you're the same, Mark.
Yeah, there's no way I'm doing that, because obviously I do Forest Focus as well and Planet FPL correspondent. But yeah, it's really good. And we'll see who comes forward. Hopefully some of the FPL community volunteer for that, because it'd be really good to see some of some of the names representing their clubs. I mean, we know
Absolutely.
there's some really knowledgeable people out there for their clubs. So let's see who comes forward. So
Yeah, and it is like, as I said, I did the Forest pod, talking about Brighton and talking about the matchup,
Yeah.
and if you know a bit about your club, there's nothing better than just getting a platform to talk about them and talk about your views and things. So yeah, give it have a look at the link, fill out the application if you're interested, and you might be the next content creator for your club. Let's take a look at some fixtures then. This is our predictions for the week coming up. They're all pretty similar again, Mark. We're getting a bit.
I know. I noticed.
A bit too similar with these, I think.
You've moved the Garden Centre game from Forest Brighton up to West Ham Chelsea. I think you're probably right. I know. Well,
I can't believe you made the Garden Centre game Forest. That went straight off when I saw that. No chance.
Fair enough. I do think the West Ham Chelsea game is probably the better option. I'll give you that.
Yeah, well, we'll start with them. We'll start with West Ham Chelsea. They are the Garden Centre game. I want to keep that logo on for the whole time we're talking about it. I might just move them over a bit because it's a bit not centre. It annoys me. Hang on. But yeah, what do you make of this? I mean, this is one of the few ones we've gone different. I've gone for a West Ham win in this one. Bournemouth. I don't know how Bournemouth lost that game to Chelsea. It was a real kind of ding dong of a match.
Oh yeah, I mean, 14 bookings.
14 yellows.
I mean, I was like. And it wasn't really a filthy game. It was like little niggly fouls. But I mean, it just ran away with him, 14 bookings. And it did take the edge off it. It was a horrible game to watch. Palmer, I was watching throughout thinking, come on, convince me. I need to take attention of you. And no, it just wasn't there. Yeah, and Chelsea are very much a work in progress, managed to get through it with a bit of quality. Bournemouth, again, were unlucky not to get more from the game. And I thought they deserved at least a point from it. So Chelsea smash and grab a bit, really. And Nkunku, ironically, off the bench. And I don't know I don't know what to make of Chelsea. How long is it going to take before we start confident in them? I think it's going to be weeks yet, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the player I was most impressed with was Sancho when he came on.
Yeah,
I thought that is what Manchester United have been crying out for ever since you signed, and I haven't seen any performances from him in a Manchester United shirt like the 45 minutes he put in for Chelsea. Thought he's really quick feet, really direct, creating loads of chances. Defenders couldn't get near him half the time. So, be interesting to see if he can nail down a spot in the team. But did you hear after the match? It was Maresca talking about. He's like, I've said to Nkunku and Palmer and Madueke and Sancho, and it just listing all these players, and none of them are guaranteed minutes. It's like, Jesus Christ, about 12 players you've listed.
You mentioned Dewsbury Hall, who hasn't got a sniff either, and it's like. It's got to be a bit of a mess, isn't it? I mean, Maresca's probably obviously got to put a front on, but it's horrible. And I just hope Palmer can come through it and be what we need him to be, because I love him. He's a great player, and I don't think he'll hit the heights of last season, but hopefully he can still emerge from the chaos that is there and be an option.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's our Garden Centre game. I've gone for a West Ham when you've gone for a 1-1. Leicester-Everton, big game. There's two big relegation kind of teams, two relegation matchups this week. I've gone for a Leicester win, 2-1. You've gone for a 2-2. If Leicester do win this, Deitch could be packing his bags.
You think so already?
Well, could be.
I think there's a very real chance they could win it. I mean, you've gone 2-1, I've gone 2-2. I think that I can only think as a game of goals. I don't trust either defence. I think Everton have got enough in attack to cause Leicester problems, and you don't need much to cause Everton problems, it seems, defensively. Why they're playing Michael Keane all the time when they've got O'Brien, I just don't know. I mean, that's not helping Deitch's cause, because the Everton fans can see it, and Keane was obviously at fault for the Watkins goal, and I don't know. And obviously Deitch knows Keane from his Burnley days, so is there too much faith in him there? Yeah, I think you might be right. I mean, they're starting to ask questions, aren't they? But it depends on the nature of the defeat. If they lose 2 or 3-0, then yes. But
yeah,
squeaky win for Leicester, you still hope that Deitch has got enough in the bank to keep his job. Yeah,
true. Liverpool-Bournemouth. Liverpool looking to bounce back. Another game at Anfield for them to bounce back against a Bournemouth side who are going to play very differently to Forest. Obviously, much less focus on defence. I think it's going to be, again, quite an open game for them, which I think will suit Liverpool. I've gone for a couple of goals for Bournemouth, though. I've gone for 3-2 here. You've gone for 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, what's behind that? You just think they're going to allow goals all of a sudden? I think the Liverpool defence is strong. I think Bournemouth have got a lot going forward, and in terms of pace and power, they could maybe catch Liverpool. So I think they might get one, and I've gone 3-1. I think they will bounce back. It's hard to believe with the quality they've got that they'll fall foul again and get a negative result, which will be, a negative result will be a draw. Yeah. But I do worry. I mean, like, I came out of the Forest win delighted, but also concerned that our team's going to be able to repeat what Forest did? And, obviously there'd be a lot of teams looking at that and thinking, well, there's a blueprint there that we can copy. And there are possibly teams better equipped than Forest to do it as well. So I don't think Bournemouth are that. I think defensively, no, I don't think Bournemouth are going to do that.
He's not going to adopt that.
No, they'll press and they'll try and use their pressing to win the ball up the field. I think that I think I've seen data recently that shows that Bournemouth had the most success pressing in advanced areas this season, so they'll rely on that to try and get them chances. And it might work, but I think Liverpool are good enough to play out of that and catch them. So I've gone 3-1.
Yep. You've also gone 3-1 in the Southampton-Ipswich game. We've both gone for an Ipswich win. You've gone for 3 goals for Ipswich. I've gone for 2 and just the 1 for Southampton. Again, tricky one to call. I just think I've been more impressed with Ipswich so far, despite the fact they've had quite tricky games. Yeah. They're going to be better at keeping it tight at the back because Southampton are just too suicidal at times, trying to play out from the back. And Ipswich have got that threat up front. But 3-1 would be a real marker for Ipswich, I think, in this one.
Yeah, I just think they've got it in them, and I worry about Southampton. It's what we thought. At the moment, Russell Martin doesn't appear to be changing things up, and he tried to go back 4 against United, still got turned over by 3 goals, and I just don't think they're good enough. They've lost Stevens now to a suspension, so Harwood Bellis will come back in. But, I look at their defence and Ramsdale's made a difference and will make a difference and will try and keep their goal conceded tally down. But I just think he's got a thankless task. I don't think defensively they're strong enough and they're exposed. I do like Flynn Downs. I think they've got some good players around him, but I haven't got enough. And I've seen what it takes firsthand to stay up. And I look at Southampton and just think, I just don't see it. I don't think they're strong enough.
Yeah, I know it's a bit less important for us now because in previous seasons when we've known that we're going to wildcard in 6, say, you dead end your team, don't you? You make sure you use a transfer so you don't lose it. Whereas you don't lose it this time, so you can bank and then wildcard. But if I was dead ending the team this week, I think Leif Davis would be someone that I'd look at because obviously I've got Robinson at home to Newcastle. So I think Newcastle score in that game. Looking at a 4.5 asset, I think you could go for one of Sugawara or Davis. Don't mind it going forward. Possibly. Davis would probably be the preference.
Yeah, definitely. I do think I'd make Ipswich the favourites for this game. Both of us have gone for a away win, and so if I was going anywhere, that'd be where I go. I'd go Leif Davis, but there are home games to come. That's where Ipswich and Leif Davis are going to be most effective. I just fancied him because I just think they've got more about them than Southampton, and I just worry defensively about Southampton.
Yep. Villa Wolves, the Midlands derby. I've gone for a 3-1 Villa. You've gone for a 2-0. So both expecting it to be relatively routine. You never really know what's going to happen in these sorts of games, though.
It's just what impact is the European fixtures going to have on Villa? They put a strong side out, obviously, last night. They won the game. How's that going to impact them? But I think that the quality they've got, and we've talked about the Wolves' defence, they will win the game. It's whether or not Wolves can catch them at the other end. But we saw Villa's defensive data as being pretty strong. So I've gone 2-0. I think it will be routine.
Yep. So Watkins surely comes away with something from that then.
You'd hope. It depends if you can get it in the first hour, though, doesn't it? That's probably all he's going to get. That's the trouble, right? So. Yeah,
good point. I think he's a decent captain option this week because you've got the Liverpool Bournemouth game with Salah looking so good, but there isn't really a lot of other decent options I don't think from because obviously Haaland's playing Arsenal, not really going to go for either of those. I wouldn't have thought. Although if he didn't have Salah, I probably would be tempted just to stick it on Haaland. But who else is there really? Maybe Son at Brentford, if you've got him like you do, might be an option.
Yeah, maybe he comes out well in the algos. Is the 60-minute thing a problem? Maybe we're putting too much into that.
He did get 80. He got 80 against Everton, but that was
just
more
got 60
needs
last
for us.
night.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, number 60.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So maybe, but he got 80 because they were chasing the game, though. That's
Exactly.
the thing. The game state would suggest. Yeah, so I don't know. Does it put off the captain? I know that James on Planet FPL captained him, did well, and he matched Haaland. So maybe you just ignore that and hope that his X-Mins goes up. But Duran, you can't. Yeah. He's not going to leave Duran on the bench, is he? That's the thing. So yeah, it's a problem.
Made our cameras a bit bigger. Thought why not? Fulham Newcastle. You've gone for a Newcastle win, 2-1. I've gone for a 1-1. I was quite surprised you went for a Newcastle win, seeing as you've been quite down on the performances.
I just think Barnes will start. I think they've got enough in attack, and again, I think the quality will win out. But I'm not hopeful of like an Isaac Hall or anything here. I just want to see them playing with a lot more rhythm and fluidity and that bit of verve. And you are right. Perhaps it is just the creativity. You know, Guimaraes, Joelinton, is there creativity there? You'd think Guimaraes is creative enough, but yeah, Trippier did bring so much. You're absolutely right. He was such an outlet for them in terms of their build-up play, and his delivery was first class. And the Livramento doesn't bring that. So is that what they're missing? Yeah, you might be onto something.
I think what you want to see, with Livramento and Hall or whoever is, okay, they lose a bit of the creativity, but are they like a better defensive unit? Are they more solid? And I don't really think they are either. I think teams still feel like they're able to get at them, particularly when they're playing away from home. So yeah, I've gone for a draw in that. Spurs Brentford. I've gone for a 3-1, but Spurs are struggling to score goals. They're struggling to convert the chances. That's pretty dominant displays against Leicester, where they couldn't score. Dominant display against Arsenal in the first 30 minutes, couldn't put the ball away. Slanky got 90 minutes, but Son looks a bit off it. Maddison hasn't really been performing. I've gone for 3, but it's maybe a bit more hopeful than logic.
I think they squeak it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brentford get something, though. And Angie's just like going further and further into despair, isn't he, with every game?
Yeah.
And,
he was very grouchy, wasn't he?
Post-match. Oh, it's like, give it a rest, please. And you've got to be. I don't know. I think you say a lot, don't you? People, you tell a lot about someone's character in adversity, and the minute Spurs started struggling, his post-match and the way he treated his media just went really downhill from what it was. I really loved his arrival at Spurs and what he brought and some of the character he showed and some of the things he was saying. And then he lost all that the minute Spurs started struggling, and it's carried on this season. He's been so sour post-match, and don't know why you have to be like that. I mean, I get it that it's a very difficult job to do when you've just lost a game, to go in front of the press and the media, but other managers manage it, right? I saw our manager, Steve Cooper, have to do it every week because we were losing many, many games. And he never treated the media like that. And I know perhaps he's not under the same kind of pressure, but there are degrees, right? And I don't like it. And it makes me think, well, if he's like that for the cameras and the media, which we're all seeing, what is he doing behind the scenes that we don't all see? It's not good. It's not good. And I'm starting to worry that his job isn't secure, because I would never have said this 6 months ago. I thought he was doing a fantastic job, and he was the manager to take Spurs forward. But they're really struggling, aren't they? And some of the stats coming out now about his win rate and the recent run, starting to be worrying. So I think they'll do enough here, but Ange needs to get more from that team. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I saw quite a good post about him, which said when he first joined, a lot of the media treated him almost like a bit of a Ted Lasso character. Like he's like kind of plucky underdog. He's come from Australia. He's inherited this team. He's going to turn them around and all this. And he obviously isn't playing up to that, or doesn't want to play up to that, or whatever, because like you say, the way he talks to journalists, I mean, sometimes he does get asked some stupid questions. But the way he responds to them, I don't think is a good way of responding to them. And like you say, you talk about Cooper. I thought Cooper was very classy, the way he responded to the media. And Postecoglou hasn't really got the reputation to be able to get away with the way he talks at times.
No, because Pep does it, doesn't he? Pep can be a little bit spiky with the press, and when he's asked a silly question, he makes it known it's a silly question. But you know, I just don't. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And if you support Spurs, do you want your manager to be like that? Do you laugh it off, or do you start going, being a bit of an arsehole, isn't he? It would start to worry you, I think, because you think, well, if he's like that there, it's obviously getting to him. He hasn't got the resolve to take defeat and take adversity and not let it show in how he comes across. And as a leader and as a football manager, that's a weakness, I would say. So yeah, it's worrying.
I think the way he talks in terms of, you know, it's my second season, I always win things in my second season, look at the stats. The way he's defensive about himself, you don't tend to see too much. You know, Klopp had his moments where he was a bit of an arsehole, but it wasn't really in the same defensive way. You saw it with Mourinho, obviously, because he was very, very, you know, arrogant with things and when he got questioned, but I haven't really seen that with many other managers. So yeah, have to see how he turns around.
It's not a great trait to have, is it?
No, it's not. I don't.
We've seen it with a bit of slot as well, a bit of arrogance. You know, he's talking about losing to Forest being a disgrace. It's like, well, we are a Premier League team. It's like,
that wasn't great. That wasn't a great look. Anyway, Palace Man United. I've gone for I'm sure I'll get slated for this. I've gone for a Palace win here, 2-1. Man United 1-1. You've gone for a draw. I was just really impressed with the Eze and Nketiah Mateta combination. I really, really liked it. I think it looks like they've been playing together for years. Not Nketiah coming in for his first game, and I think that's just given them the lift that they needed. You know, they've dealt with the Gahey stuff now. That's all done. Results haven't been great, but now they've got Nketiah in, and he's giving him that extra bit which they lost when obviously they lost Elise. I think that's have a little bit too much for Man U in attack. They're still bedding in the new defenders, a few injuries, things like that.
You could be right. I think that it'd be good if that clicks. So I love Eddie. I think he's great. I wish Forest had signed him, so I do wish him well there. And I think he could click in this game. And the first goal's around the corner, like I said. So I can see that. I can see Palace turning them over. I think it is the kind of fixtures where, you know, the homestyle end get behind Palace. There's a big atmosphere there, and they've got goals in them for sure. It's what United can do at the other end. I've gone a draw, but maybe sit on the fence. I do like the 2-1.
Next, the big one. It's the big one next. The BlackBox Derby.
Right. BlackBox Derby, yeah.
Chris Phillips says a narrow Brighton win. As Phillips says, a narrow Brighton win. Mark Sullens, what a surprise, says a Forest win.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you couldn't score against Ipswich, so why do you think you're going to score against Forest? I mean, that would be the simple question, but I do think we can catch you as well. I think we've got some threats, and I mean, you've got threats, but the trouble is, you know, you talk about Matoma, but we've just seen how well Moreno dealt with Salah, so I don't necessarily think Matoma's going to be as dangerous to us as he can be against other teams. So I think defensively, our fullbacks are really good, in good form, and our centre backs are great as well. We got caught 1-0 at your place with a ridiculous set-piece goal last time out. I don't think we'll get caught like that again. And I do think going forward, we've got some confidence and some weapons there. So I think it'd be a really good game. I really hope it is. I think it's going to be a decent game to watch. I don't know why I made it the Garden Centre game.
I'm fuming. I'm going to Madrid this weekend.
I know.
I'll be finding
Bernabeu?
No. We tried to get tickets, but it wasn't possible. I think we were offered to go to Atletico to see Atletico play, but I'd rather see Real Madrid, and I don't really want to miss, as pathetic as it sounds, I don't really want to miss Brighton v Forest. I don't really want to miss Man City v Arsenal.
Oh, you're going to watch the games when you're out there?
Oh yeah,
hilarious. But you're going to be there with your knotted hanky and your Union Jack boxers in a pub watching the football.
No, I'll be in my Brighton. I'll be full Brighton kit. Full Brighton kit. It's got to be done.
Oh God. Yeah. As abroad, do I want to know?
Oh, I know. It's not great. Anyway, that's the BlackBox Derby. That's always a good one. Shame we still haven't been to see one in person.
And no, we can't do it. We've got to make sure we get to one. Yeah, and then we can do a vlog when we're there. So,
I think it's February the 1st. Forest v Brighton.
Right. make sure you make it.
Yes, definitely.
We'll get you a seat. Don't worry. We'll do hospitality. As I said, we'll get hospitality in the new. We've got those new. Have you seen it? The new container things we've used.
No,
shipping containers. We
Wow.
turn shipping containers into a new hospitality suite. It's pretty awful. It's as good as it sounds, right? But it's like 300 quid, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'd do that for the black box derby.
I was about to say, as a joke, probably with your owners, it'd be about 300 quid, and it says exactly how much it was.
It is 300 quid a ticket, and I'm like, let's give it a go. I'm curious as to what it's like watching a match inside a shipping container.
Is it attached like a massive crane that like spins around? That'd be fun.
Oh, I'll send you pictures. It's not pretty. I mean, there's pictures of what it's going to look like, but it doesn't look like that at the moment. And it's in the corner. I don't really want to sit there, but for the black box derby, we should do it for a laugh. It'd be quite funny.
Okay, I'm in. Sounds good. Final game of the week is Man City v Arsenal. We've both gone for an on the fence draw. I've gone for a 0-0 in this. Just
Could
both teams don't want to lose. 0-0. You've got
that's it, isn't it? Because it's early in the season, and my feeling is that Arteta will go there and think, okay, we're Rice is back, but Odegaard's still out. Would he take a draw there? You've got to think he would, right? You've got to think this is a must not lose for both teams. I would say, because it's about the psychology of what that would mean for the winner. And so if they're both going to go home thinking, you know what, it's a must not lose, the likely outcome is a 0-0, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've gone 1-0. I'd like to think there is a goal in it, but you could be right. If I was picking the fixture that's most likely to be 0-0, it would be that one.
I think I agree. I mean, you could maybe argue like Southampton Ipswich as well is a similar kind of must not lose. But I think both teams will
mistakes.
Well, I think Ipswich will fancy the chances against Southampton, so might attack a bit more. And obviously mistakes, like you mentioned. Which game was it last season when Arsenal absolutely dominated City and then still managed to lose it? Was that at the Etihad or was that at the Emirates?
That was Man City Arsenal. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where it was. I can't recall.
I think it was at the Etihad. I think it was. Right. Arsenal went there and should have won it and ended up losing it. And that was ultimately kind of what cost them the league. So,
I mean, I'd love it if Arsenal got a result. I really would. And I think it would be good for the Premier League as well, because I think that the pace that City are setting is already a little bit worrying. It's a bit like I said about FPL. It's like we don't want City to run away with it. So the last result we want is a City home win, Arsenal out, push back. And then with the Odegaard injury, that could impact them and psychologically as well, losing this game. So the best result for the neutral probably would be an Arsenal win. Yep.
If you want to get involved in the Black Box predictions, obviously you can join our Patreon. There's still time to get in. Patreon.com/FPL BlackBox. We've got a website where we track all the predictions of all the members and ourselves. We've predicted 40 matches now. Mark is currently in the lead, but only by 2 points. You get 1 point for a correct outcome, 3 points for a correct score. It's very close. I've got slightly better outcomes, but you've had, I think, 1 or 2 more correct scores. So there's not much here. Look at Hotline, though. I mean, we talked about him last week.
Crazy.
73% correct outcomes. Bloody hell.
It is absolutely ridiculous. What is he? I mean, hopefully, I don't wish anyone to gamble, but hopefully he makes some money out of his predictive powers, because that's crazy.
Yeah. Get involved if you're interested in that. There's still time. Also join the Sleeper Pick'em League as well. That's correct outcomes too, and monthly prizes worth up to £500 a month, completely free to play. Link in the YouTube description below. Also an overall prize for that. But yeah, obviously get involved in that if you haven't already. Captaincy. As I said, interesting week this week. Haaland is top of all the metrics, no surprise, but has the hardest game.
The data is wrong in this as well. The XGI is still wrong in this, by the way. So
yes, I swear we won't mention that. We don't need to.
I figured out what I did. I figured out what I did, by the way. In my workings, I basically added XG to XGI rather than XA to XG. So the columns were wrong. Yeah, and that was caused by the cost tab malarkey that I spoke to you about. So I will correct it. I will correct
every
it and
week.
post updated tables. It's a one-off. It won't happen again, and I know exactly why it's happened. And apologies. Yeah.
Every week I hear about that cost tab in Scout. It's caused you no end of problems, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I've sorted it now.
Got rid of it. It's not even on the chart anymore. So don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's Salah, isn't it? I mean, is there a conversation here around that? I mean, most managers now have got Salah, even with Haaland there in their team. Most have moved that way as well. If you don't have Salah, you probably would go Haaland, wouldn't you? Let's face it.
I think it's Watkins, Haaland, Salah as the three.
Do you?
Salah's.
What have we got in the matrix for this week? Bring that up. Let's have a look. I think I probably had those three as well. Son, okay. Yep. So Salah, Watkins, Son. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we saw enough from Son though.
No.
I mean, you think if Spurs win, Son should get a return out of that, because he's on pens and he is central to their attack. He's not central literally because he's playing out left, but yeah, I think it's because of what Haaland's done so far. If you don't have Salah, it's very difficult not to say that Haaland's not the second choice, right?
Yeah. I mean, next week as well, we haven't got Haaland highlighted here. He probably is entering into that bracket. But I mean, Salah's got Wolves, Saka's got Leicester, Watkins has got Ipswich. Again, that's great three.
Yeah, you would think that those three are stronger captaincy options than Haaland in a normal situation.
Yeah.
But it's just what we've seen so far is just ridiculously, crazy. And then look at that run though. Look, from game week 7 onwards, it's hard to question captaining, maybe Brighton away, but you are definitely going to captain Haaland, Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth.
I would captain him at Brighton away.
Yeah, there you go. Right?
Yeah.
So this is why I haven't got Haaland yet. I've got to think about wildcarding him in either game week 6 or certainly game week 7, I think, because of that run and the damage he can do in that run is pretty considerable, I would have thought. And where do you go to the captaincy? You get to game week 8 and it's a problem. Yeah.
I mean, this is your team for the next game week. You mentioned the wild card as well. You've obviously got that on the radar. But yeah, let me know what's your thoughts, what you're thinking.
Well, I don't think I do anything this week. I don't necessarily need to, unless I hear obviously Isaac or João Pedro are out, because I think that I'm not booking in the wildcard game week 6. If I was, I'd dead end something into game week 6. It might be that I'd take 2 transfers into 6 and then get Watkins and Mbeumo in for Son and Wissa, right, which I could do. And then go without Haaland at Newcastle and hope that Saka covers the captaincy, which he could do. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably hold this. So it's Raya, Konsa, Trent, Pedro Porro, Saka, Eze, Salah, Son, Rodgers, Isaac, and João Pedro. If that 11 are fit, I'll probably just go in with that, save the transfer, and then decide whether I wildcard next week and take the extra transfers through, or whether I make transfers next week and wildcard ahead of 7.
Yep.
But I've looked at wildcard this week. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think I want to move to Haaland when he's got Arsenal. So it's more likely I do it in 6 when he's got Newcastle, or 7 when he's got Fulham at home, I think is probably the likely outcome. So I don't really see a transfer here. I mean, I could do Wissa to Calvert-Lewin. I've got 0-1 in the bank. But then who do I pull out? I mean, maybe João Pedro if he's not going to be fit. There's talk that he wasn't training today again. So I don't know. What do you make of that? What would you do there?
Yeah, I think if there's doubts around Isak and Pedro going into the weekend, I think I would probably look to move Wissa out and have that as a good, because you don't really, your team, no offense, isn't looking that strong this week. And if João Pedro is going to miss out and Robinson's going to come in, I think I'd much rather have an option of a Calvert-Lewin or a Vardy in case that was going to happen. But yeah, it's.
I mean, the thing is, the only major difference between my team and other people's is Haaland playing Arsenal. Because most Haaland teams have got, most Haaland teams have got Salah, but they haven't got Saka. So it's only looking, I don't know. I dispute the fact it looks weak, because in a normal week it would, because Haaland's going to score goals. But It's not.
Yeah,
I mean,
true. And there's
of
not
all the
there's not
weeks to
loads of
get
options.
Haaland, this is So I
Yeah.
don't think it looks weak because it's as good as any other team. The only thing that's missing is Haaland playing Arsenal, which I don't know. You could say, well, that's a major problem, but I'd like to think it isn't, because of all the games against Arsenal, I would say that could be the one where I can think, well, he's only going to get one goal maximum. So I don't think it's weak. I think it's okay. But the problem I've got is my differentials are Saka and Son, and I don't necessarily see Son getting me anything, and Saka probably won't do anything either because he's playing City. So I don't have anything there that's going to help me make up ground, because people have got Haaland, got Salah. So I might get a green arrow, but it's not going to be a game week which helps me make up ground. So I accept that, but I don't think I'm going to lose ground unless Haaland goes crazy.
Sure,
which he could. I mean, this is it. He could. So I think that, it all depends on whether those flags come off. I think Saka will be fine because he's playing tonight, right? So I think Isak's fine because it was just blurred vision. So I don't think that's a problem unless it was concussion. And it's João Pedro, really. And if João Pedro's out, I'm tempted to do it anyway, because I don't necessarily think Brighton are going to score many goals against Forest.
That's what I was about to say. Are you not tempted just to get rid of the Wissa problem and bring in another cheaper striker? I mean, it's Calvert-Lewin's ill though, isn't he? So you've got that.
Yeah, so he's flag as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Or it's Vardy, or it's, who was the other one? Or Wood. You bringing in Chris Wood would be the ultimate turnaround.
I just think I'd rather have the 2 transfers next week and then decide. That gives me the option to wildcard or not. Whereas if I use a transfer this week, I've kind of got a wildcard next week, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'd be going Son to Mbeumo and having 3 million in the bank, and I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have 2 transfers, I can go Son to Mbeumo, Wissa to Watkins, and that is then a team where I can go, well, maybe I can go without Haaland one more week and hope that Saka, Watkins, they will be differentials. I mean, or Salah could be a differential, because you think that many teams are going to go Salah to Saka, don't you? So I could have a decent team with 2 transfers next week that makes me think I haven't necessarily got to go Haaland. But he could destroy Newcastle, couldn't he? This is the thing. He's like, he's dominant, and it's a shame because, it does limit our possibilities a bit now. Yeah.
Well, I'm in a similar dilemma of when I'm gonna wildcard as well, because I think my team actually is all right for game week 6. I probably won't have I won't have Saka unless I sell Salah, but I can get to an Arsenal defender. So I've got Henderson in goal with Trent, Porro, and Robinson. Salah captain, Jota, Gordon, Rodgers, Haaland, Mateta, who was a problem. I thought might be a problem for me. He's now actually, I think, quite a good asset out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And João Pedro, and then I've got Smith Rowe on the bench who can come in if Pedro is out. My first thoughts were to roll earlier in the week, and then I could do Salah to Saka and Henderson to Raya for two free transfers. That means losing Salah against Wolves, but gets me 2 Arsenal players at home to. It's Southampton first, isn't it, and then Leicester.
Yeah.
Which I like the look of, but I am thinking that Jota is a problem. So I could do Jota to Mbeumo, and then I'd still have the money to do Porro to Gabriel.
Next week. Yeah. So I would roll this. I mean, you're playing Robinson at home to Newcastle, which is probably the only weakness here, really. Because if João Pedro's not fit, you got Smith Rowe. So there's not any other weakness there, I would say, other than maybe Jota. But we just don't know how that's going to go, do we? He loves him, but there is a threat there now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do I give Jota one more week, or do I bring in Mbeumo, who I'm going to want anyway from game week 6?
Well, you give Jota this week, I think.
You think I'll give him this week?
I would, because he's going to get at least half an hour.
Yeah, true.
And Mbeumo at Spurs he could do well at Spurs. I mean, that's the thing. But yeah, I would probably hold Jota for this week to see what happens.
Yeah, I do like the idea of getting Raya in for Henderson, because then that gets rid of that goalkeeping problem. Gets me the Arsenal defender who I want the most. Selling Salah isn't ideal, but I'm getting in Saka, who's, let's be honest, a pretty good replacement with the 2 home games he's got. So yeah, but then I'm still holding on to Jota. So if Jota's then a problem from next week, then it might be wildcard time, because that'll be 3 transfers. And I can get rid of Robinson. I can clear up my bench a little bit.
Yeah, you got Barker and Johnson there. Yeah. When are you going to play it if you don't play it next week?
I know. So it could well, and I like the fact that I can keep the 2 free transfers and still play it now and still keep those 2 free transfers. Whereas obviously in previous years, I'd be I'd need to make a transfer this week and then wildcard because I couldn't hold and then wildcard. So it's Leicester before Southampton first. So it's a slightly not it's the slightly worst game of the two, but yeah, still pretty good. I'm probably going to roll anyway.
So both of us rolling, brilliant. Okay.
Both of us rolling, fun. All that analysis, and yeah, we're both rolling. That's pretty much it from us. We've got a couple of super chats to answer.
Let's do it.
We've got this is just a message from Super Duper FC, who's been a member for 13 months of the YouTube channel. Thank you very much. He says Yelena and Mark's vlogs are the weekly entertainment.
Yelena's are good. I really like some of her transitions she uses. Very clever. She's got lots of ideas, and it's good. It's good. I mean, I enjoy doing it. I think like we both got the same camera, haven't we? So we both use the same.
Oh
gear
God, she loves it. She hasn't got the drone though.
Yeah, I've invested in a little drone to help me do the GTA type shots behind me, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so I'll be doing it. I've got to find a spot in Brighton on Sunday morning, so I'm looking forward to doing it in Brighton. See where I can do it from. So it's good fun.
Well, she didn't have any time when she went because we were so late, so there's no footage.
Oh God, no! The only thing about it is it means I spend Monday night editing the video, which means Tuesday night I'm rushing doing the data, and then I get the XG data wrong. So that's my fault. So I need to sort that out.
I keep saying, teach me how to do the tables, and I can help out. But
yeah, I know. We'll sort it out. That's rattled me tonight getting that wrong because it's the first time it's happened. I don't think we've ever had the data wrong like that. So apologies.
No,
I will correct
we have.
Oh, thanks very much.
Because you were rattled then. It's very rare, don't get me wrong, but it has
yeah, that's fair enough. It's Excel, it's so easy to break.
It is. New member Attaboy, thank you very much. New member Nigel the Crab. Don't really understand that.
New member? What have you done? Left and joined again? Oh no.
Left and joined. No, that's completely understandable. Heroic Doses, thank you very much for the super chat. I get the rule, but triple sub. Oh, yeah, here we go. Triple sub at 59.20. Jota gets 1 because he's off first. Diaz gets 3 because he's off at 60.05. Imagine they were defenders. FPL equals a clown show. It is a ridiculous rule.
I think that's right. I think it should be when the ball goes up. That's the minute.
100%.
100%. Because then it's about like who walks the quickest or who's furthest. I was saying to Praz, well, that's great marginal gain because Diaz is obviously on the wing, so therefore Jota's walking a shorter distance. But it shouldn't come down to that, should it? It's absolutely crazy.
Did someone say, it's just poor like X steps or X
X grass or something it was. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, the swing for a defender would have been massive, wouldn't it? And yeah, I mean, like imagine Trent and Robertson's over there and Trent's nearest. So Trent goes off sooner. Robertson makes it a bit of a distance and he gets a clean sheet. It could happen because he's taken them both off. Yeah. He took them both off at Ipswich, didn't he? I think at the end. Yeah, he did. So, I mean, they wouldn't go off on 60 minutes maybe, but it is still a very silly rule. So do it when the ball comes up, not when the player steps over the line. It's
do that. I mean, I've won 2 leagues in the past by 1 point. One against you and one when I was in a cash league years ago.
I know.
That's the point. That's the 2 points.
Yeah, and I was robbed of that because of the Edison assist. Did you have to bring that up again? I thought that was awful on Saturday. No, Haaland got that second goal, and I thought, who got the assist? Bloody Edison, of all things. Are they rubbing it in?
And they gave it to him straight away as well. No messing around.
No doubt. Yeah, cool.
Malachi Fox, thank you very much. Hi, as a Mark. Jackson to Calvert-Lewin for a hit.
Not for a hit.
No. I'd keep. No. I wouldn't want Jackson particularly, but if you've got him, I'd keep him. Not for a hit.
Yeah, I just don't think. I mean, like I said, the DCL thing, it's the fitness. It's long term. I worry about him getting match after match after match, and so I think he's good for a couple of weeks. But as you know, he's ill already. So what's behind that? You need to get a bit of that before you know for sure. But it's the hit. It's the 4 points. You're putting pressure on Cavalier to score 1 straight away, which he's not that prolific that you can do that.
No, I agree. Not for me. And the final one is from Picado Lasson. Again, thank you for the super chat. Should I do Vardy to Wood or hold Wood long term? I guess it means Wood to Vardy or hold Wood.
No, I'd keep Wood.
Yeah, so would I.
I think that Aberney is still some time away from being a starter. and I think Wood can cause you a few problems. And yeah, we'll create for him. He's not brilliant in the build-up, but he's there to finish things, and we'll create for him. And we've got some good fixtures to come, so hold him for sure.
Yep. Attaboy says, like the stream, lads and gals, it's a small effort, but for Az and Mark, very helpful. Yep, if you haven't liked already, do give us a like, do drop us a comment. Yeah, and if you are listening on podcast, give us a 5-star review if you've enjoyed it, because again,
this is the place for unreliable XG data. So yeah,
where else would you rather be than watching two men talk about wrong XG data?
And some
about
grumpy bloke, some grumpy bloke moaning that FPL is broken because he had a bad game week. That's what you want, right? That's it.
Yeah. Well, I don't really like your team this week, so I don't think you're going to be that happy next week.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. What team looks much better than that? I mean, yeah, Haaland can milk it. Sorry.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think it's. No, I mean Watkins maybe could go off.
Yeah.
I don't know. To be fair, I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring week, so you'll probably get away with it.
No, probably not. I mean, yeah, it depends how that Arsenal City game goes, doesn't it? Because we are reliant on those assets, really reliant on those assets. You know, without Raya and Saka, I'd have done really awfully, and without Haaland, a lot of managers would have done awfully. So it shows you how reliant we've become on Arsenal and City already this season. So we'll see. I think Salah will come good. I think that there'll be points in that game for everyone who's on Salah. But I'm not holding my breath for some returns, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened.
They have. Yep. Well, and I would say good luck in the Black Box Derby, but I don't mean it.
Oh, I don't
hope Forest get battered.
I will be messaging you, so make sure you get your phone sorted out in Madrid, because I want to be able to send you photos on the ground of us celebrating and all that kind of stuff. So.
I wish we go together. It would be a good game. Yeah, it'd be a good game.
Yeah. It's nice that it's getting closer between the two teams, because when we came up, the thought of sharing the match with you, watching Forest getting beaten. But now I think actually, by the time we actually get to it, like you coming to the City Ground, I think that's going to be really. I think it's tight now between our teams. So,
so do I.
I am proud that Forest have made progress and closed the gap a bit. And you never know. You made Europa League. Maybe we're not too far away either. We'll see.
Yeah,
getting very cocky.
I think Matt said to me, "Where do we think we're finished?" And I said probably like 9th and 10th. it's probably realistic.
Well, good.
But
it's good.
Yeah, be right with that.
I'll snap your hand off.
Mark, absolute pleasure as always. I'll see you again next week. Enjoy the game.
Well, I hope so. Unless I have another miserable game week, then I might retire. And
no, don't say that. I have to do it with bloody Andy. Can't have that. Not this early.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. Thanks,
cool. Right. I'll see you again.
Good night for me.
Night, everyone.